After opening rounds in Daytona, Texas, and Pocono, the Area Truck Series heads back to a familiar place, the hometown of NASCAR. Tonight's 120-lap race takes place at Charlotte Motor Speedway, a track just as entrenched in stock car history as Daytona Beach. So far this season, consistency has been key, so it's really no surprise that Jake Nichols is leading the championship standings, and he carries in some momentum from an epic battle last night in the Cup Series. Hi everybody, Kyle Heyer, joined by Connor Horn tonight for the fourth round of the Area Truck Series season. Connor, welcome. This is going to be an interesting one. Tail end last week was pretty dramatic, but 120 fresh laps tonight to run around Charlotte.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting for sure. This is one of the staples of the Truck Series season, one of those races that is on the schedule every single season, and we've had a mixed bag of races to boot with some green flag running here at Charlotte. Last season, 11 cautions slowed progress until Jake Matheson took the checkered flag. See, last week was last week, this week is this week. We have a dozen drivers getting EOLs for what happened last week, so it's going to be a frantic run through the field for those drivers that are locked into the field, but you still have some drivers that need to make the field, multiple drivers who haven't qualified for any events so far this season, looking for something to go their way. And not even just those guys, got a lot of fast drivers that are way down in points, like two-time champion Brad Slaughter Jr., who still finds himself about 44th in points. A lot of drivers need to get going.
Yeah, there's a lot of racing still left to do in the season, though. We just have to get it turned around and facing the right direction. Temperature this evening is relatively cool here in Concord, North Carolina. 79-degree air temp, 87-degree track temp. We'll likely see that fall throughout the night. Connor, last night, strategy was kind of important for a while. We had a whole bunch of yellows in the first half of last night's race. Then it cleaned up, and then from there was all sorts of varying tires and fuel strategies. You were part of that. How similar is tonight going to be?
I don't think you're going to see two tires be the obvious call. Cup cars are just a different breed, the way the tires wear and heat up and all that. It's just way different than the trucks or even the Xfinity Series cars. You'll probably not see that happen. Under green, you probably won't see a two-tire call unless someone's just trying to go for a Hail Mary. But under yellow, after maybe you get 10, 15, 20 laps on the tires, you might see drivers try two tires, just get track position, because it's still going to be that little bit important. All 5 races that have happened at Charlotte in the Truck Series have been won by drivers starting 13th or better. 4 of the 5, 6th or better. So you need to qualify up front to hopefully have a shot to win and compete for the win at the front. So you still need to run up at the front, qualify up at the front, but you're probably not going to see green flag strategy as much as we'll see caution strategy.
Talk to me about the changes to the truck. Of course, it's been sort of a talking point this season, how the truck handles differently. This feels like a track where that will be on display. Certainly, this is a high downforce racetrack. There's some aero. There's different lines you can run here. So how much different is the racing going to look than maybe seasons past here?
I don't think it'll be too packed up. I think you'll see trucks get a little bit more spread out as long as we get the green flag running that we're accustomed to at most of these mile and a half like we saw at Texas. You should see a lot of grooves being used even at night. I think we'll see some drivers try to run the wall. I've seen it in practice, so we'll likely see some drivers trying that out like we saw at Texas, although this is a track that in real life you'll actually see drivers running at the top of the track on the wall, especially through turns 1 and 2. 3 and 4 it's going to be tougher because of the bumps, but you'll still see multiple lanes being used. You'll see aero become a factor as well. You get right on the back of someone, you can still loosen them up, and it's a little bit worse than it used to be in seasons past with the old aero and the top line aero, the wall aero. I'm not sure if that's going to be much change with the truck physics being different, but either way, you'll see drivers trying to test that out all night long.
Well, we talked and touched on the championship standings and some of the drivers that have had a good start to the season, and Michael Venable is one of those in the 95, sits second in the championship standings, up over Reese Schaefer from last week. His first 3 finishes have been 13th and then 2 top 5s, 5th and 5th at Texas and Pocono. So it really seems like he has got the momentum going the right direction in that elite truck.
And he's part of the reason Elite's at the top of the Truck Series point standings as a team. He's been a big part of that with those finishes that you mentioned. He's 10th on the timing sheet as well, so he's going to be fast tonight, no doubt about it, and he's going to try his best to keep that momentum going for Elite, who could really use a good points finish in the team standings. It's been a great start for them so far. He's on that team, and you talked about Reese Schaefer, who he passed for that second position in the standings, so Schaefer's 3rd. He's the highest of any of the open trucks this season. We still have 2 open trucks in the top 10 in points, Schaefer in 3rd, and then Jonathan Evans, our Daytona winner, in the 6th position. So those two have done a great job so far this season. Schaefer is a Lucky Ducks driver, but not chartered, so he does have to make these races each and every week. So this week's no different with at least 4 people going home, might even be 5. So he's got to keep that. If he wants to keep that up, he's got to make sure he makes the field.
Yeah, I mean, this is a tough one. We're going to have 4 drivers going home because we've got 48 trucks. Actually, make that 5 trucks that are going home. 48 trucks and 43 slots. So that means that those open trucks have got to perform in qualifying, and Reese Schaefer's only P16. Not bad, but it might not be good enough depending on where everyone else qualifies as the checkered flag falls here on practice and that all-important qualifying session that's sort of been the topic of discussion so far pre-race this season. You have to perform. You get 1 lap to do it, Connor, and you cannot afford a mistake.
No, you can't afford a mistake. Like we talked about, you need to start at the front to kind of compete for a win here, or else it's going to be very, very tough. So these drivers are really going to prioritize qualifying. The ones that don't have EOLs, they're going to prioritize qualifying big time and just try to start somewhere near the front so they could stay there and not have to be in the mid-pack. Because we saw that mid-pack at Texas, the other mile and a half we went to, very, very chaotic. 2-3 wide, bumper-to-bumper action. You don't want to be a part of that. You want to be at the front where it's sort of more calm. Like we saw Trey Eidson, Jake Nichols, and Sebastian Marin, those drivers at the front at Texas were able to stay there because it just wasn't as chaotic. So everyone's going to try their best to do exactly that like they did at Texas. Just try to start at the front and go from there.
Race fans, make sure you subscribe to the Area iRacing Twitch channel, and you can use those Area iRacing emotes to use in the chat and earn your double channel points that you can use for free merchandise for just $5 a month. Join today, twitch.tv/Area iRacing. Green flag here on qualifying. Travis Beckner's the first one to start a lap.
He's the first one to start a lap, and it's a good chance he goes top of the board with this lap, as we do have his onboard working the wheel. It's near full throttle on fresh tires, but you do have to probably breathe a little bit, maybe only 40-30% throttle through the corner just so you can keep the nose pointed, because you can see him just diving it into the corner, trying to get to that blue and white line, washed up through 4, but he's still going to be cleanly out of the corner, so this should be a very solid fast lap as he'll go across the line, one and only lap, 175.885, top of the board by a tenth over Scott Tompkins, I believe, is in second, and so you see all of the times go on the sheet, and he loved that lap.
Yeah, he did. I think he saw Michael Van Abel go quicker than him, though. And John Hall goes to the top of the board in his Ford F-150, and this is when the dominoes start to fall here. Trucks making lap runs, and here's Jacob Bell. Connor, the Cup Series has not been kind to him. We'll see what the Truck Series has in store to him.
Yeah, he did not make the field at Daytona, and he did not attempt Texas, and he did attempt Pocono and made Pocono. So trying to get on the streak of making these races, hopefully for him, as he's going to go with a big arc through 3 and 4. With how little off throttle time, you either do one of 2 things, and he's going to be into the wall hard. And I think that was his lap, so it's not looking like he's going to make the field.
Yeah, that's not going to work for him. Here comes Jake Nichols, the championship leader, into the mix.
He comes I believe, start his lap. He'll go to the bottom with the head of steam. We've seen some drivers try to go that paint line, but it could get you sideways, even 2 sideways through the middle of the corner, and might ruin your run through the corner. So it looked like he avoided that. Just maybe a tire width up, which is almost a perfect line, but 3 and 4 needs a little bit more grip. He will touch that paint line a little bit, and he got a great run out of 3 and 4.
See what Jake Nichols can do. He's got to beat a 29.686. He will not do that. It's a 29.722, but it's good enough for second.
Patrick Moose went 4th, Seth Knoll 8th, JT Poole 7th. I believe he missed, I think he missed the race last night, which was a bit of a shock if I'm correct, but it's going to be top 10 tonight, almost certainly, you would think. But we still got a lot of drivers to go. Brandon Bowie, another open truck, trying to make the field. 176.031. That'll put him in 3rd, which is a great lap.
A good lap there at Scherer Jr. in the 17. Great looking truck. Really a big fan of the livery, the yellow and the blue and the black. Comes out of turn 4 in the 17 truck. Let's see what he's got. A pole the 29.761 or better. It's a 29.887 and puts him down in 22nd place.
So he'll have a little bit of work to do, I would think. Well, not I think. We know he's going to have some work to do. Devin Johnson's got some work to do as well. He's one of those drivers who has to go here to make the field. And you can see him working the wheel, trying to get to the bottom. Kind of missed it a little bit. It's going to struggle on exit really sideways like the 77 was. He held it, but it's going to ruin all momentum off the corner.
Yeah, it's not going to be a great lap. 30.044 puts him 35th. That'll be a disappointing run for Devin Johnson. So Tardif in the 43 is on the back straightaway.
It's like Spencer Burns joined late, so that would bump us to 6 drivers going home, which is really tough when someone charter joins late, because now your expectations shift in. If you already put a lap down, you can't do anything about it.
Yeah, I mean, that's not like it really changes your strategy because you still have to go fast regardless, but it does definitely up the stakes. 31.03 for Tardif. That's going to be 39th. Spencer Burns rockets through 1 and 2. 6:09 truck here.
Yeah, 6:09 truck, late entry to tonight, although he is full time. That lap by Tardif's probably going to bump him out of the race. There's a lot of drivers that are going to be close, but that 31 flat won't do it, certainly, as Burns really rocketed through 3 and 4. He carried a lot of speed, it seemed, through the center of the corner, but a very low and wobbly exit.
And this will be the last driver to qualify. It's a 29.848, which is going to put him up in 19th place. And Matthew Batby, Brad Slaughter Jr., Chris Seidenfeld, Dean Gagliano all attempted laps but weren't able to complete them, Connor. And that's going to shift and shuffle things as far as the DNQ order here once that's all sorted out.
Yeah, definitely shake it up a little bit. Batby, Slaughter, Seidenfeld are all in. Gagliano and Bell, they were open, so they will not make the field. We know those 2 for sure. We'll get a word on the other 4 that'll miss the field. As we look at the track temp, pretty much similar to what we saw last night with a 80 air temp and like 84 track temp was last night. It's pretty much same conditions, but a whole different vehicle tonight with humidity down and the wind not really doing anything too much, so probably won't affect the trucks too much. Although all the dirty air for drivers who start probably like 15th on back, that's what the drivers that will really be struggling for the most part at the start of this race.
Yeah, again, we had cool conditions last night. The track was pretty grippy. We saw drivers continue to get faster and faster throughout the night. But this evening, I think we've seen the wrecks with this new aerodynamic model be pretty spectacular. And how many times have we seen a little wreck turn into a really big one, Connor, with a little bit of contact and air lifting up?
I've noticed Garrett Grant's gotten air in all of the races so far, one way or another. He just hasn't been able to escape crashes, and it seems like every time he's the truck kind of lifting through the air. So he's hoping for better luck tonight because he had tough luck last night early on as well. But guys like Brad Slaughter Jr., we noted him. He's 2-time series champion, 44th in points. He hasn't gotten a single good finish to go his way so far, so he finds himself in a big hole. And you can climb out of big holes. I was lucky enough to do it last season in the Cup Series, but eventually you got to get at least one good finish to point things the right way. This is race 4 of the season. We're at the 1/3 mark of the regular season after this race. He's got to get something tonight.
There are over a quarter of the drivers in the field that will owe us an EOL after Pocono last week. So that's going to change the dynamic a little bit in the early going. And if you are going to the back, that is a much bigger deal than it seems at first, just because of the chances for yellows from the midfield on back, Connor. I don't want to be back there. You had an EOL last night. You survived to tell the tale, but it's not easy to get through it all.
You almost have to be forced to go off strategy. I mean, the only reason I was able to get to the front was because I pit on a lap 10 yellow for fuel. That kind of put me on a different strategy stop-wise, and then I was able to stay out after a somewhat longer run, but I was on older tires, so I was hanging on for dear life. Ended up working out for me, but it's not a guarantee it's going to work out for you because the yellows have to fall the correct way if you're going to do that after getting an EOL. If you don't get that break, you're going to fall right back where you came from, and you won't be able to recover, and you probably might end up getting caught up in the stuff in the back. I was lucky to get through the crashes at the back early in the race. Had I not been able to do that, I wouldn't have been able to finish 3rd. My teammate Adam Cabot, he wasn't able to make it up there. He had a drive-through. He kind of got fortunate with his yellow, but then he's still thrown at the back of the field, couldn't escape a crash, and he only made it about 15 miles, if that. So he had nothing he could do, and that's the risk of getting EOLs. That's a risk you take when you put yourself in tough situations and cause some crashes. Like you said, we had about just under maybe a 1/3 of our drivers getting EOLs tonight, a dozen from my count.
And 6 DNQs. The following trucks did not make the field: the 90, the 60, the 43, the 94, the 77, and the 18 are your DNQ trucks. 19 Gagliano in the 18, Jacob Bell in the 77. The 94 of Robert Colgan also didn't make the field. The 43 of Joe Tardif didn't make the field. The 60 is Gabriel Toledo. And then the 90 truck of Devin Johnson with that slip out of turn 4. That was enough to force him to not make it as well. So those are the 6 trucks that didn't make it, Connor, but the other 43 will get a chance to move on here in the 4th round of the championship. And next week we go to Dover, but the week after we go to Sonoma. We go road racing with these trucks, and that's going to shift the running order a little bit there as well. That'll be a really challenging one for those open drivers if road racing isn't a skill set they've got. The good news is the chances that we get a 50 truck field trying to qualify for the road race is probably not super likely.
And it might be interesting at the front as well, because no James Scioli in the Truck Series this season, not running, so he will likely, well, not likely, he'll certainly not be at Sonoma, so that opens a door for more road racers to maybe shine at the front and compete for the win. I believe Scioli did not win. He had penalties at the Roval during the race that kind of cost him the win, but he was definitely the fastest driver there regardless, so it's going to be interesting to see what happens at the front and the rear of the field in, 2 weeks' time, whenever we go there.
Well, you can see the sun is setting and the weather continues to cool away, and just a little bit more of a breeze out of the northeast kind of kicking up there and blowing some weather across the region here in virtual Concord, North Carolina. And about 20 trucks have laid down times here in warm-up, just getting their last little taste before they have to do this in a big field full of traffic. 120 laps is the race distance tonight, Connor. What's the pit strategy look like tonight? It got broken up a little last night with some early yellows.
I don't think you'll make it to lap 60 on the tank. I just don't see that happening, so you're probably going to aim for even stints, 40, 40, 40. That's if it goes green. Very unlikely to see that happen, but you might try to play some strategy if you're one of those drivers starting at the back and not making up the ground that you want to. You might pit maybe lap 25, lap 30, and just do longer stints to the end of the race and just try something different. You might have no choice if you're one of those drivers like Patrick Moose, who's going to start at the back, or Garrett Grant, Drew Jua, all those drivers who are going to have to come from the back are going to have to try something different. It might not even be short pitting. It might be going long. Maybe you do try to save the lap 60 and make it on a one-stop strategy. It was not going to be possible without yellows last night. Smaller lap count, but also a smaller fuel tank. Maybe things are different tonight, but I expect most people to split up pretty evenly, 40 laps apiece.
Ricky Springer's carrying one of our onboard cameras tonight, and other onboards we've got. Travis Beckner that we've already showed you. Daniel Day is going to give us his onboard perspective here this evening. John Hall is going to as well. And then Rafe Slate in his VR cam will give us his perspective. JT Poole, who has given us an onboard for quite some time. And of course, Eric Wineland, who has stepped away briefly. Those are your onboard cameras here tonight. We're just waiting to see if Jeremy Miller to reconnect, as he's dropped out. So we'll give him a moment before we advance to the race. But that's nerve-wracking, Connor. We got the whole field waiting on you. If you can't get back in, you don't get to race.
I think he's fine. I don't know why he lagged out, but he seems to be fine now. We got to get Eric Wineland back in his seat first off, as we do get the warm-up over. I heard Travis Beckner yell on the radio. He didn't want to see that. But all warm-up's done. Everyone gets their last few laps in, try to get their nerves out, and we'll line up 43 trucks for 120 laps.
Well, night is falling here on the Charlotte Motor Speedway for the fourth round of the Area Truck Series season. Let's head down to the racetrack now and get through our starting lineup. Of course, our starting lineup is sponsored by Central Mobile Homes. Looking for a small or large home, a new shed, or a Triple Crown trailer? Look no further than Central Mobile Homes. They've been proudly serving Florida customers for 28 years with a plethora of small and large home floor plans, shed designs, and Triple Crown trailers. Available in LaBelle, Okeechobee, Clewiston, and Sebring. Head to centralmobilehomesinc.com to get started today. Let's head down to the grid for our Central Mobile Homes starting lineup. On the front row, it's John Hall, familiar name at the front of these fields, Connor. And Jake Nichols, points leader, starts on the outside of the front row.
And then third place, one of the impressive open drivers, Brandon Bowie, will start third. Michael Venable, who is, I believe, second in the points, he'll start fourth.
In fifth place, it's Patrick Moose in the number 38 Ford F-150. Travis Beckner, trying to get a little bit better luck from last night, starts sixth in the 28.
Seventh place will be Sebastian Marin, who's been close to victory but hasn't been able to pull it off. He starts seventh. JT Poole, who I don't think made the race last night, looking for better fortune, he'll start eighth.
In ninth place, it's Seth Knoll in the number 1 Chevy Silverado. Jake Matheson rolls off 10th in the number 52 Ford.
11th place, Trey Eitzen, who had a wild ride last night and had a fast truck at Texas. The other mile and a half he went to will start 11th. Jeremy Miller, who got into the session late after dropping out, he'll start 12th.
13th place, Connor Yershak in the number 12 Elite truck. Rafe Slate rolls off 14th in the number 8.
Mason Kane in the 15th position. He'll start right there in his Ford F-150. And then Daniel Day, who we have an onboard with, will start 16th.
In 17th place, it's Sean Peachin in the number 69. And Eric Wineland rolls off 18th in the number 21.
And all these drivers featured on our start-finish line cam. We'll see if we use it tonight like we did last night. Spencer Burns, late entry, but he got a good qualifying effort starting 19th. Joshua Balliet in the famed number 7 truck. He'll start 20th.
21st place is Ben McDonald in the number 16, and Denny Ware rolls off 22nd in the number 98.
23rd position, a 51 of Ricky Springer, who we saw on his onboard. Scott Tompkins, this might be the first race he's made this season. A good qualifying effort puts him 24th.
25th place, Garrett Grant in the number 5, trying to keep all 4 tires on the ground tonight, alongside Ed Scherer Jr. in the number 17.
In the 17, we'll have an EOL. He'll drop to the back. Reese Schaefer, highest open driver in points. He'll start in the back, though, 27th, with alongside Justin Anasogak in 28th.
In 29th place is James Shainwolf in the 83. Ben Pierce starts 30th in the 65 truck.
31st position, the 87 of Jeremy B. Brown, and Drew Trader in the 25 Chevy Silverado will start 32nd.
In 33rd place, it's David Weishart in the number 33. Lucas Stryer in the number 41 rolls off 34th.
35th position, Julian Valadez. He needs some better luck tonight. He'll start 35th. Tyler Hallman, the 62 truck, will start 36th.
And 37th is Gary Waterworth in the number 2, and Pacey Wygant rolls off 38th in the 00.
Devin Johnson did not make the field tonight, so he will not start 39th, but starting 40th, I believe, is actually Gabriel Toledo. Both the drivers did not make the field, so Johnson Toledo won't make the field. Joe Tardif did neither. Case Lakatos did. He'll move up a couple rows.
Yep, and Ryan Swan did make the field. Robert Colgan did not. And Matthew Batby in the 89 did make the field. Brad Slaughter Jr. in the 81 did as well. Jacob Bell did not make the field. Cy Fiden did. And Dean Gagliano did not. There's your 43 truck starting lineup with the lights going out of the pace truck next time by. It is a Ford and a Chevy on the front row. And this race, if it goes green from flag to flag, Connor, just under an hour. But we know how crazy things can get at Charlotte. Everyone's comfortable here. This is one of the first tracks that you learn to drive on in the iRacing simulator. And for a lot of stock car drivers in iRacing, this is home in real life too.
And it kind of what makes these races crazy, because everyone knows how to drive this track. It's the first track you'll usually drive on, besides if you're not in a street stock. I don't think the street stock rookies go here often anymore, but you will come here at some point. You get this track for free, but that's what causes these races to get crazy, because everyone thinks they can drive this track and drive really hard to try to get to the front, and it kind of causes crashes. You said if this goes green, we're done in under an hour. The average time of this race is 85 minutes, an hour 25. I think that's right. I hope my math is correct, but either way, it usually takes a while. We average 6 cautions a race. We had 11 just last season, and who knows what will happen as we come down the back stretch to pace for the final time before we get going. I'm going to take my pick. There's a lot of fast drivers. You got Nichols, who won by literally nothing last night. Seth Knoll was fast. Jake Matheson was fast. I will go with a little bit of an outsider. I'll go JT Poole in 8th. I feel like I keep picking 8th place, but I think JT's going to bounce back tonight.
I'm going to roll with the 52 of Jake Matheson. I like where he's starting up in 10th spot. I think he's got the capability. He was in position last night, but things didn't quite go his way. I think Jake Matheson returns to victory lane in the Truck Series here at Charlotte. 120 laps, round 4 of the Area Truck Series season. Pace truck pulls off and leaves the field in the hands of John Hall and Jake Nichols on the front row. Here we go. Race 4 of the season. Back in the hometown of Charlotte, North Carolina. Here we go. Green flag, and we're racing at Charlotte. Three wide in the background, Trey Eitzen in the middle with Connor Urashak, an aggressive start. He went 3 abreast on the opening moments, but it's Hall that leads the first lap by a nose over Jake Nichols.
A little stack up on the bottom caused Urashak to take that move, and it ends up working for him. Maybe not so much for Miller, as they're almost 3 wide in the background, but still going to be 2 by 2 for a while. There's not much straightaway here, so you don't really get clear of each other very quickly. It takes a while to get away from this 2 by 2 action. Very different from what we saw last time at Pocono, where it took usually a lap to get single file.
John Hall clears Jake Nichols for the lead. Nichols has got a nice big run here in this draft. He'll look to driver's right, get on the quarter panel of the 03 truck, and they're going to go door to door into turn 1 again.
Bowie and Venable just kind of sitting back and watching this, but Nichols is not going to give Hall much room. He's going to pinch the right rear quarter panel, maybe try to get a side draft out of the corner, as both these drivers trying to get clean air, working to wheel out of turn number 2. I think 4 is going to be more of a struggle spot, but we've seen turn 2 be a big issue in years past, even in real life, as they'll stay side by side at the line. It's almost last night all over again, but John Hall got the jump that time.
Yeah, this is a great battle for the top spot. Nichols on the outside. You mentioned last night it was 1/1000th of a second, rounded, by the way, in the finish between himself and the eventual winner of that event. Spin out of turn 2, and Drew Trader goes for a slide, and he's got it locked down and does a great job keeping that truck straight and will stay green.
That was close. I don't know. He had contact maybe with the 81, but it was really tight. But he did a good job not bringing it back into traffic like we saw a few times last night. Meanwhile, these drivers are still dead even. They almost were dead even at the line.
Now, Jake Nichols is not giving this one up easy. And John Hall keeps clearing him, but Nichols is able to fight back with a nice strong draft. And he's carrying great speed through 3 and 4 in particular. But a little dirty air there this time.
167 was Hall's lowest point of mile per hour through 3 and 4. He got up to 182 down the back, so only 15 mile per hour worth of difference. So there's not that much off throttle time. So we'll get the Hendry County Motorsports Park instant replay. I think I got it right that time, as we'll see Drew Trader 3 wide, Shane Wolf bottom, Slaughter on the top. And I think he reacted to Shane Wolf getting loose in the Slaughter, but he does a great job saving it.
Yeah, that's about as much as you can do before it's wrecked. He's down 7 seconds from the rest of the field, about half a lap behind the leaders. Here's Rafe Slate and Sean Peachin side by side. This is for 13th place. And Peachin goes for a ride.
Oh, he's coming back up in the traffic. No, he's going to slow it down in time, and we will stay green once again. That could have been the same exact thing. That one looked scary for a while.
Yeah, he got it in the road course chicane, which actually probably did him some favors. He had some pavement to kind of grind to a halt on, and again keeps the truck straight, and he'll join Drew Trader out of turn 2.
The battle for 42nd has never been tighter.
Lap 7 complete. John Hall is shaking Jake Nichols for a bit, and here's Jeremy Miller approaching JT Poole, and then Connor Yurashak in that 12 truck.
Yurashak trying to go back-to-back. He won the Battle of Pocono last week after really not having had the internet go out in Texas, so he didn't really get a chance there. Yurashak might have just put someone in the wall. They made contact again down the back stretch. That was Seth Knoll he bumped, and I think they had disagreement there.
Out of turn 4, side by side here. We'll take a look at that when things calm down, but it's pretty feisty between these two right now, off into turn 1.
You can see the right rear quarter panel damaged on the 1. I don't think he was happy about the bump draft. I don't think Yurashak meant to do it, just didn't hit the 1 straight. It's going to give Jeremy Miller a run on Yurashak. It's actually going to cost the 12 more than it cost the 1.
JT Poole swerving from left to right to try to go on the outside of the 12. He saw all that out the windshield. He goes right back to work.
Now the 12, it's kind of the same thing as last night. It seems like the high line, you want to be on the bottom, but for the most part, the top line's moving. You'll see down the backstretch, 1 truck gets clear. I think Yurashak just decides to bump draft him and just didn't hit him straight, maybe hit him too hard. And then Knoll came off the wall maybe to provide less damage to his truck, but also maybe as a warning, say, hey, don't do that. I don't think he appreciated the bump draft.
Yeah, it's a wrong angle as Ricky Springer goes way up high in turn 4, trying that way upper groove, and that can be very effective here. Little 3 wide in the background as that the 83 of James Shanewolf, who's in the middle of Brad Slaughter Jr. and Daniel Day in the 61.
And these Shanewolf and Slaughter have both been flying to the front. Shanewolf's up about 10 positions. Slaughter started near the back. He's up about 20 positions. So the 81 flying up to the front when it matters. He just needs the finishes to go his ways. We're starting to maybe, I don't know, I won't say anything yet, but we're getting a little more calm, I guess. Battle for second, beating up Venable on the back bumper of Nichols as John Hall's pulling away.
Yeah, it's actually kind of a stack up here, isn't it? Cork in the bottle is Jake Nichols. Look at Sebastian Marin in the 32. He's going to work his way up to the high side here. Again, I like that this racetrack in iRacing seems to race multi-group pretty well. I've seen passes on the bottom. I've seen passes on the top already tonight. I think that'll continue to be the case. There's going to be a better line at some point, but right now, some drivers feeling comfortable ripping that upper groove.
Yeah, especially the 32 and the 70 I see up there as well. Eitzen battling with Matheson, ripping that high side. Very good short run at Texas, trying to recreate that magic as Marin with the beautiful patriotic paint scheme, but he gets kind of aerial blocked there by Venable. 95 decided he's going to try the high side. Matheson and Miller did the same thing in behind as they almost went 3 wide off the corner in the back, but Venable kind of trying to take the airways. We'll see that in these trucks too. It's just like last night, maybe less so, but just like last night, you'll see drivers play a little bit of a guessing game into the corner. If you're going to run that lane, all right, I'll run it too. Take your air away.
Yeah, Sebastian Marin was so close to the wall in 1 and 2. He looked comfortable up there, but I don't think he was able to carry as much speed as he would have liked because of the 95 out in front. So he's going to drop to the bottom. The 95 will stay up top, and the progress for the 32 stops there. So the upper groove definitely has got some pace to it, and Travis Beckner has got his hands full here battling for 7th.
Venable went to the inside of Nichols this time as Beckner's also been getting up, trying to stay up at the front of the field. He started 6th, fell back to 7th, but still running well. He just got by the 1, I believe, if not just a few laps ago. JT Poultry Eitzen seems like the 26 and 70 kind of fell back battling a little bit. And Jeremy Miller up to 11th. He's still battling Connor Yarashak, who has not recovered since the contact with the 1 truck.
Rafe Slate in the 8. Won't have his onboard anymore. I was looking forward to that, but slots into 13th, right behind Yarashak and Jeremy Miller. Miller goes up to the high side, and so does Ricky Springer. He has been absolutely ripping the outside in 3 and 4.
He's trying to make it work. It doesn't seem like it's really reaping the benefits yet, but he's definitely been the closest to the wall in 3 and 4. I don't know if he's doing it in 1 and 2, not as close as we look on Patrick Moose. He's one of those drivers who got an EOL. We know how fast he was. He's in contention for the win last week at Pocono. He started very far, almost pretty much at the back. He's up to 23rd position already, and he has some somewhat clean air to look in on for the time being.
Yeah, pretty good move there. A little side by side.
Yarashak and Miller had contact out of the corner. That was the truck he saw almost hit the wall. And he cuts in front of Miller, maybe to make a point.
These two don't look super stoked with each other. See a little damage on the rear of the 12. I think that was from the contact with the 26 earlier. Oh, Miller sideways out of turn 2. And he is going to get into the inside wall and drift back to the outside. And he's going to hit that opening.
But they had contact with Rafe Slate from behind. And that's the first big contact of the night. Another one that keeps the green flag out, though, is thought him and the 12 were going to make contact. It looked like Miller, I don't know, Slate gets a run. Miller kind of comes down the track. They meet. Miller almost saved it, but then Ricky Springer couldn't check up in time. And Miller hits the wall here, then he can't save it. Tries to keep it to the inside, then hits it again. And that'll pretty much ruin his night, especially because there's no yellow. But he'll stay on track in 43rd.
Yeah, he's going to try to limp it around as best he can for now. Hope he can catch a yellow maybe, but yeah, just tight quarters there. I mean, this is a high commitment place. There's a lot of banking. You got a lot of load in the truck. And Rafe Slate just got in there a little too deep. Well, I think he was maybe expecting the 30 to get back on throttle a little sooner, and just it was the slightest of taps, but that's all it takes.
I think he was expecting Miller to stay higher up, but Miller kind of tried to come down the track and carry that run, and they just kind of met in the middle. And then 51, Springer couldn't do anything. He checked up as much as he could, but just a little too late. And obviously the 30 got the short end of the deal there. But once again, 3 incidents, and we stayed green for all of them. Miller's the only one who's had contact as that battle for the lead tightening up maybe just a little bit. Jake Nichols has caught back up to John Hall. Hall's moved to the high line, notably enough, which is kind of odd to see the race leader try it, but he's trying something different while Jake Nichols hunts the bottom line.
I've got 4 incidents on mine. 4, lap 7, lap 8, lap 17.
Trader, the one with the 1 and 12 as well.
Trader, Peachin, Knoll, and Miller are the ones that I've got recorded so far. And look at Sebastian Marin trying even higher up the road, trying to carry speed, and he's got it coming. And no one covered him off this time. Look at the run he's building on the 73. Here comes Marin for second.
Yeah, that was the best run I've seen from anyone who ran that high up on the racetrack. He made it work, but the problem is making the pass complete. Nichols is going to be able to run that high line in 1 and 2 just as effectively and really prevent Marin from getting any sort of run down the back straightaway. Now Marin's going to have to shove it into 3 to try to stay even. Well, they both kind of are catching John Hall, as Hall's kind of running the middle line through 3 and 4. Venable's at the top side. These 4 kind of pulling away. But you see 5th place, Jake Matheson starting to creep towards this picture.
I don't think Marin wants the bottom here. He's been very effective on the high side, and he seems to stall on this inside groove. But he does pull ahead of Nichols here on exit. Will he clear himself? He will. And Nichols, instead of fighting it, is going to settle in line. That was very patient by the 73.
I think Nichols knows that Marin, he might be thinking the 32 might be pushing a little bit, trying to be on the bumper to 03, just kind of trying to let him go and make sure his tires stay in check. Not too far away from a pit stop if you split up evenly, or only would be about halfway through a tire run. JT Poole up to 6th, Brandon Bowie and him battling for that position. Beckner, Eitz, and Knoll rounding out the top 10 as you see the 54. He's going to be the lone driver in this battle to run the high side up the track. That lets Beckner get to his inside, but 54 didn't really get the run off the corner I think he wanted. It's going to let Beckner try to pull him back with that left rear side draft and just shove it into 3. And I think Bowie's just going to pull over and let the 28 have it.
Yeah, things are starting to click into place now. Here comes Sebastian Marin for the lead out of turn 4. Across the stripe, very close. Marin's got overlap here. Hall on the outside trying to defend.
And Hall, this time, he doesn't go way to the high side. He's going to pinch Sebastian Marin down, try to ruin his exit, and just make sure he can't have the arc he wants through the corner. And that's going to let the 03 get that run back. And Marin's going to have to be, oh, we got someone in the inside wall hard down the backstretch. And it's Spencer Burns, cautions out.
Lap 24, battle for the lead will be extinguished. And the 06 has got big time damage.
Yeah, he's done for the night for sure.
He was on the inside of Euroshack and just gets loose. Chases it up the hill, tags the wall once, and then back across the racetrack and hard into the inside wall. Sends the bumper flying.
Yeah, I think he looked like he fired it into the inside and washes up in the Euroshack. See, watch this. He's going to cross over the 12 into the corner. He fired it in on entry, and he never really got to the bottom. And then washes up, low contact there. This is what sends him sideways.
Yeah, the truck was never really out, using some aircraft terminology, that it was an unstable approach, right? He wasn't configured for passing, just kind of turned left hard, drove in there, and the truck was never settled enough. And then as soon as it broke loose, he was just chasing it the rest of the way. So big hit there for Spencer Burns. His night is over. He's the first truck out of this race, and it will bring the entire field down pit lane.
And this is not surprising. You're not going to play any strategy by staying out here. You do not cut out. You cut out a pit stop here, so everyone's going to come down. I'd be shocked if we saw 2 tires.
Well, I mean, if you're going to do it, try it now. I wouldn't try it lap 100. So if you want to see how they work, I wouldn't say now is a bad time. I don't think we're going to go green from here, although that was a pretty good opening stretch there.
Yeah, that's pretty solid. We saw all the lanes working, and that's exactly what you want to see. We'll see if that changes as the night falls on this track. Sebastian Marin gets the lead off of pit road. Hall, then Nichols. And Matheson might have gotten 4th, Poole might have gotten 5th, and the 95 Michael Venable might be going to the rear of the field.
Man, that is going to be brutal for Venable. Pit lane speeding violation, and he'll drop to the tail. That's not what you want to see, especially with so many trucks still in this fight. To make this night a lot longer than it was otherwise. But Sebastian Marin gets the pass more easily than he would have. Trying to pass John Hall the old-fashioned way. Jake Matheson up to 4th place. And we'll get a restart here pretty shortly. Short yellow flags generally here at Charlotte.
And we'll see. It seems like everyone's on the lead lap but Burns, who is out of the race. And Jeremy Miller, he did get that yellow he wanted, but that left front, left rear pretty totaled, as that's going to be tough for Venable. I mean, didn't seem hard to pass. People are making it through the field. The 38 had driven through half the field already in that 25 lap span. But it's better when you do that with, you have 120 laps to get through the field. Now you only have about 93 laps to get through the field, so it just makes that all that more tough.
So doubled up, we got 1 lap to green here. Of course, our replay sponsor tonight, we've gotten a workout on the replay machine, and it's Hendry County Motorsports Park. Racing returns to the Hendry County Motorsports Park on September 7th, including 360 Top Gun wing sprints, Crusoe late models, factory stocks, and more. Tickets are $15 for adults with discounted prices for seniors, teens, and kids ages 5 and under are free. Come see racing at the southernmost dirt track in America, located in Clewiston, Florida, right off US Highway 27. Visit HenryRacing.com for more info. At $15 for a night worth of racing, that sounds like it to me. Tell you what, that sounds like a deal. I got to go see some dirt track racing while the summer's still hot here. I mean, I got a couple weeks until my next racing event. I only have one in August, and that's Real Life Circuit Legends at Lime Rock Park in 3 weeks. And then other than that, September is a crazy month for me, but I would like to go see some dirt racing. So
all the lanes we're seeing tonight, we might as well be seeing it.
Almost. Here we go. Let's try this again. Sebastian Marin, John Hall. Marin is elected for the inside lane here for the restart and into the restart zone. We're racing again. Late restart in the zone, and Sebastian Marin is off.
John Hall wasn't really ready for it, so it's going to put him at risk of losing second to the 73 here, but that's exactly the type of restart you want if you're Sebastian Marin. There's a little bump from the 52 to the 03, and once again, gridlock 2x2 throughout the field.
Oh, big defense from Jake Nichols on the back straightaway. Went hard left out of turn 2, and the 12, Connor Urashak is making a mission to go back forward, and the 95 of Michael Venable has got just a Herculean effort ahead of him. Look at this mess out of 4.
A big mess. This is exactly what you don't want to put yourself in, because we saw how crazy it was. We were fortunate to get the run we did because we had all those mini incidents, but it just gives them that much more work. And it's not like you can really... You can't take your time. You kind of got to go and get yourself in a good track position spot before you get your green flag pit stop. And Connor Urashak's right behind him. Looks like Urashak probably repaired the left rear damage he had, so he's got to come back to the field as well.
Yeah, the longer you sit back there, the more trouble you can get yourself in. You just got to make sure that you're not rushing it, because if you rush it, then you get yourself in trouble or cause some trouble around you that gets you penalized again. Marin leads. Jake Matheson in the 52 truck goes to the high side. And Trey Eitzen in the 70, you mentioned the big wreck he had last night. One of the worst impacts I've seen in the Cup Series to date. Here he is, got everything stitched back together, all the limbs reattached, and he's back here tonight in the 70 up in 4th.
Yeah, he wasn't in the crash where you said there were body parts flying around, but there might as well have been in that crash.
I think that was Hunter that said that, but it made me giggle.
Yeah, I think it was Hunter, but yeah, we didn't have that bad of a crash that time. But yeah, certainly he's definitely trying to
the lead.
The demons from that race.
Here comes Matheson for the top spot here out of turn 2. And he will clear Marin by a few feet down the back straightaway. And look at this battle, just tail end of the top 10 here. Rafe Slate, Daniel Day, Justin Anasogak. And look at the run from Day on the outside in the 61.
Oh, and he almost came down in the Rafe Slate. He got to the right rear a little too late there. But great restart from Matheson, 4th to 1st in just 2 or 3 laps. And he was kind of on the short end of his stick last night when we went green. He was the only driver on 2 tires, so that's why he fell back as far as he did. Had nothing he could do. So a little bit of a different story tonight, I'm sure he's hoping for, as he's going to rocket away with the leader. At least try to. Marin staying with him for the time being as we're straight single file through the top 8 or 9. And then it's 2x2 with Slaughter and Sogak starting that battle. Not
done yet for the lead. Matheson's got Marin all over his rear bumper again. That 32 truck looks quick, but Matheson just a hair quicker. A little wiggle there through the center of 1 and 2. Matheson doesn't seem like he's glued to the road as much as he'd like to be.
Yeah, and that's because the 32 is just shoving it to the bottom and just staying on the rear bumper of the 52, making sure those rear tires are just squirrely enough to where he can't sit back. Matheson can't sit back and just do nothing.
Rafe Slate to the outside of Travis Beckner. Haven't these two had their run-ins before, if I recall?
Slate and Beckner? I mean, it's possible.
It's been a little while.
I don't think anything recently as lap traffic. That's Spencer Burns, who's back on track. It's going to be tough for those two to navigate 2x2. Beckner, Slate,
the lead
side
again.
by side.
Here comes Marin, back by Jake Matheson in a great battle for the lead between the 32 and 52.
And Spencer Burns just tried to take out Rafe Slate, and there's a crash in the back because of it. Truck slammed the wall. Lucas Strayer.
Caution out. Well, that truck actually looks all right. Oh, 31 got into him.
I feel like that was in response to what happened up front. I think, yeah, Strayer just checking up for what he saw, and Mason Kane, nothing he could do.
It looked like Mason Kane couldn't even really see what was going on. Let's ride it with this on board here. Yeah, he was probably pretty blind to this. And he didn't really look like he knew what was going on. But you mentioned the 06. I didn't really see what was going on there.
He and Rafe Slate have been having issues, and I think Rafe sets up a dispenser, and or JT Pool actually. So I'm not even sure. I'm not even sure who he was looking for.
Yeah, I don't really.
I don't know why it would have been door JT.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't really recall.
He's had verbal issues with Rafe, but he hit the 26.
Yeah, I mean, aim for a strike through a ball, I guess, right?
That's one way to put it.
Well, we're back under caution for the second time. What do you think about pit stops here? Looks like there wasn't a lot of takers. Was it open?
Probably. What was that?
Was the pit lane open that time?
Yeah, it was, but you're not going to pit here unless you have damage to deal with, or maybe you just want to go off strategy. Drew Trader came in for fuel. Wygent, Lakatos, Shane Wolf, Brown. Miller's coming down for more damage, and yeah, but you're not going to go off strategy here. You still have to make one more stop. So
second yellow of the night, and this is our second incident involving the 06. If anything, I would have thought he would have gone after the 12. But
I'm not. Yeah, I don't know.
I guess justifying that probably isn't making a lot of sense either. But we're under yellow, and everyone's on the lead lap except for Spencer Burns. Jeremy Miller and Lucas Stray are on pit lane. I don't know that Lucas will have a lot of damage.
The front's banged up for sure. It's a shame because he's the casualty in this. He had absolutely nothing to do with this, and
can't really blame Mason Kane either. When you watch it back, I don't think he could really tell what was going on. So
no, he couldn't see anything, and he was probably just as confused as we were. And Strayer's the innocent bystander. He will go a lap down, so he'll be the only driver a lap down. So I guess if you're the only driver going a lap down, no reason not to just repair it and hope you get that quick yellow to help you out. And we'll get 1 degree next time by, or was it this time by?
Next time,
no,
because
it's next time
now we've
by.
got a truck a lap down. Well, we did. And so if there's a truck a lap down that is on the racetrack and not out off the field, it will add that extra lap. If there's no one a lap down on course, then it'll cut it. So if we get another yellow as it stands, we would get the shorter of the yellow periods.
And he actually did leave the race, so that's unfortunate because he had nothing to do with that.
Miller's going to come back down and try to repair some more of his number 30 Simrat Market truck. Well, we've got a moment. Add some life to the party this summer with Elite Entertainment, located in Boiling Springs, South Carolina. Elite Entertainment provides high-quality band production to entertain at any location. Make sure that you visit Linktree/Elite Entertainment LLC for all contact info. So, approaching the 1/3 mark of this race. And the first run about 24 laps deep, Connor, and it was not, I mean, that was a single car spin. It wasn't really caused by traffic congestion. So I would anticipate, I mean, if things continue to go as they are, that we could have a longer green flag run. So it seems like these drivers are planning for that, staying out, keeping their track position so that they can stay up front for their next strategy play. So now we've got just over 80 laps to go. I assume you're just going to split this into 2 equal stints from here.
I would think so. That's probably what you'll want to do. There's not too much strategy variation that you're going to see from here. You're almost in the same situation you already were, just maybe a little bit more fuel than what you had before. And tires, we'll see what the tire wear is going to look like after this, because the night's going to fall down. We saw that tire wear kind of get better as the race went on last night. You'll probably see the same thing here tonight. And looking at Marin's times, at least the first stint, he ran a 30 flat lap 3 of the race. And then by the end of the run, he was running 31.8. So that was about 1.8 seconds of fall off just in about 20 laps, which is pretty insane for a truck series race. But not that the physics changed, the aero change really changed that. Might have made it a little bit worse, but definitely a lot more rare than what I'd be accustomed to seeing in a truck. But that gap from old tires to new tires might become better as this race goes on, I would think.
All right, well, fields racked up, stacked up. Let's go again, lap 39, Marin Matheson. your top two. They were involved in a pretty fierce fight just prior to this yellow flag. Let's do it again. Green flag into the restart zone, and Marin fires out of a cannon. He's off and away.
Basically the same type of restart. He's able to get away and keep him side by side for a second for at least half a lap. Hall might be able to clear Matheson. Yes, he was able to.
Side by each down the back straightaway. Eitzen in the 70, pulling even with Jake Nichols on the bottom lane. Travis Beckner's down there as well, underneath JT Poole.
Walk out sideways.
Next time by is the 1/3 mark of this. Patrick Moose in that 38 continues his climb forward after having that EOL at the beginning of the race.
Yeah, he's just done an exceptional job making this happen, and he hasn't really had to get really aggressive. He's just been able to do so pretty easily. It's clearly going to be a contender for the win if he can get up there. And just look how hard. I say he's not aggressive. He drove it hard to turn number 3 as they kind of stacked up on the bottom ahead of him behind the 28. Loose JT Poole was out of the corner. He's still got some damage to deal with because of that contact with the 06.
Car the wall.
Balliet hit it entering.
Yeah, that was a big hit there for the 7-2. That wasn't a little one. And John Hall has caught Sebastian Merritt. He would like the lead back from the 32 Chevrolet as Matheson drops to 3rd. Rafe Slate and Balliet trade spots from outside to inside. Little 170-mile-an-hour ballet down the back straightaway.
Yeah, I guess that's one way to put it. He's getting that run down the straightaway. His Balliet's going to look to the outside of Nichols, who's kind of content with running on the bottom and trying to keep the right side tires in check. I would think Balliet dove to the bottom in the tiny gap he had. He made it work. As we look further back, Mason Gaines back there. He's in a battle as well, as we're still battling from the battle for the lead, battle for 30. Charlotte or Daytona? Can't tell. Look.
Great sounds as they rocket through 55. Scott Tompkins has his mirrors full right now. Garrett Grant on the outside, Edward Scherer Jr. on the inside.
We got crazy going in the background. That's Venable trying to get through it. Someone must have been putting a wall.
Oh, trouble behind him. The 62 Hallman's around. Caution's out. And the 16 of Ben McDonald's also involved.
Looked like there was a stack up out of 2, and it must have been a product of that. Out of turn number 2 here.
Oh, that was weird.
That is not natural.
No, it is not. And then just a huge stack up there, as you point out, the 20, the 83, and the 62. Yeah, whatever happened there, that was odd.
I haven't seen one of those in a while.
Yeah,
that usually happens at super speedways. It destroyed the 16, and then Allman just trying to check up, get away, and then Shane Wolf and Swan, they just, I don't think they, once again, it's one of those wrecks that confused everyone.
So I very rarely say that Netcode is at fault for incidents, because typically I'd say that the wreck was going to happen anyway. I don't think that this is one of those scenarios. No. This is a true Netcode wreck. And I feel bad for the 16. He got a bunch of damage out of that.
Yeah, he got totaled out of it. And yeah, that's a shame because he hasn't made all the races this season. Looking at the standings, matter of fact, yeah, he only made the 1 race, so he gets into this one with a decent lap, and he didn't really get to race after because of that. That was odd. And we kind of saw, I think the 06 and 12 were going to wreck anyways, but we saw weird netcode with them as well, as we had some drivers pit, some drivers didn't, but kind of been a little weird with how the contact's been tonight.
Yeah, that was a little funky for sure. So with that, we're under now. I think are we under a 3rd yellow?
Or 4th?
Have a look. 3 yellows.
Oh, 3. Okay.
Yeah, I've never seen that type of netcode before, actually. Unless, I mean, I'm sure you have. You've raced over a little bit more than I have.
You usually see that at Daytona and Talladega when you're actually like bump drafting like normal, but I've never seen it at a non-super speedway. That's the type of glitch I remember seeing in Forza 7. That's a console game where that happens, and that kind of ruined the league I ran on there years ago. Like I said, I've never seen that at a non-super speedway. I don't even know how that happens, but that's been around for years and hasn't been fixed. And it claimed Ben McDonald and a few others.
So lap 45 of 120. Does this change your math at all, Connor, or is this is a pretty cut and dry strategy and we shouldn't really expect much to change?
Maybe it changes your pit lap a little bit, but you're still not cutting out a pit stop from this race. Still got to pit one more time, whether you came down to top off or not. The only thing it might change is the drivers who maybe top off for fuel now, or maybe some tires, if they took any. You could probably go to 20 to go on fuel, something like that. But with how much fall off there is, if you go that long and everyone pits for tires at the normal lap 80 route, you're probably going to lose so much time where topping off, taking two, it's not going to matter. So still pretty cut and dry strategy.
Well, while we've got a minute, I guess I can talk about what's been going on with me lately, because it's been a pretty wild couple of weeks. Got back from VIR last week. That was something that I talked about already, but for those that don't know, last weekend was the Grid Life Summer Apex Festival at Road America. And it was the first time that Grid Life has ever hosted a festival at the National Park of Speed. And let us tell you, it was a pretty unbelievable event. If you have never seen a Grid Life event, this is one that you got to put on your list. It's right prior to the IMSA event that's happening next week, but we had over 10,000 people there in the carousel. Deadmau5, Liquid Stranger were playing on Saturday night, but it is a full weekend of music and motorsports with Grid Life Touring Cup, the Rush SR Series, the NOS Energy Track Battle Championship, and drifting on the full course for the first time since 2013. It was a sight to behold, and the track staff was really excited about it. All the fans were really excited about it, and it was really neat to be there. So that was a pretty fun event. So if you're interested in next year, make sure you check out summerapex.com and subscribe to the Grid Life notifications on grid.life. Sign yourself up for the email notifications for the next event. And if you're up in the Northeast, the Circuit Legends Festival is next. Lime Rock Park, August 16th to 18th. I'll be there. And so will Greg Creamer, who's done some announcing on SimTV in the past. That is a great celebration of modern JDM vehicles and all the parts of Grid Life, Drift, Time Attack, and Touring Cup, as well as the Rush SR Series and the Model 3 Challenge, all coming to Lakeville, Connecticut at the end of this month. Well, Connor, doubled up, heading for the restart here very shortly.
Yep, and like we said, this won't really change the strategy, but maybe it will change the aggression rate, because all these yellows, you kind of start to think that you're running out of chances to get to the front. So we might see drivers like a Valadez try to get to the front a little bit more aggressively. Valadez is actually 11th. That's a great run for him so far. Gary Waterworth 14th. Reese Schaefer 15th. Yershak got back up to 16th. We did have a decent amount of drivers come down and pit there, whether it was for fuel or crash damage. Seemed like about the top 25 stayed out. Everyone else pit for some reason.
Pace truck's going to peel off. Lap 48, we're going back green. John Hall is your race leader. And into the restart zone, lap 48. Here we go.
But Marin timed that really well to stay side by side. Hall didn't get the jump that Marin was getting. I think Marin just did a good job anticipating when the 0-3 would go. It's a big part of restarts with this not even a new format anymore. We've had restart zones for a while now.
Yeah, I mean, we sort of had them anyway. They were just zones that could shift all the time, right? I mean, it's still the same skill, just it's a bit more confined as we got a little bit of a jam up there in turns 3 and 4. This is wild stuff.
That was Yershak looking to be outside of Gary Waterworth because the top line really stacked up as a crash and front stretch. Chain whips around.
Caution. Daniel Day's also involved. Let's see what happened here. They're already spinning.
Him and Brad Slaughter have been side by side this entire race. Noel on the bottom, 3 wide.
The 83. Oh, the 81 gets loose, comes back across the racetrack.
Gosh.
And the 83 just a victim here and gets hit by trucks.
09?
Whoa, 61 came sailing in there.
It might have been the 20s. Bryce Sasak is not racing, but goodness, 81 was sideways from the center of the corner all the way to the exit and just could not catch it.
Daniel Day trying everything to slow down. He just didn't get the memo in time and just grazed the 83 on his way by.
Yeah, that could have been a lot worse.
I'll say.
But it seemed like they didn't make contact. But yeah, that was crazy. Slaughter was fighting that thing, it seemed like the entire corner.
Whoa.
Just nothing, oh gosh, nothing Shane Wolf could do. Just kind of caught in a bad spot. And he wasn't even anticipating to be 3 wide. The 81 was so sideways, he checked up so much, it put Shane Wolf in a lose-lose situation.
Yeah, so I don't think this changes our math at all again. So we're closing in on the halfway point of this race. John Hall is just picking up some laps led right now behind the pace truck. He's led 32 now once he crosses the stripe this time.
That's the last thing the 81, that's the last thing Slaughter needed. And most of the time it's been out of his control, but this time just makes a mistake. And he, like we talked about, we touched on, he came in like 44th in points, and he is not going to climb up very far after that.
Well, closing in on halfway here at Charlotte Motor Speedway for the 4th round of the Area Truck Series. We mentioned Dover next week and Sonoma the week after that, our first right and left running of the season. Check out the High Banks podcast. Just 2 blue-collar guys, Nick and Alex, talking about NASCAR and more. Listen to episode 205 with Brad Slaughter. It's all available on Spotify. Check out the High Banks podcast. And, of course, rickshotsauce.com. It's been spicy already tonight. Head over to rickshotsauce.com for some of the best hot sauces made locally in South Florida. Try the Loxahatchee Classic, Golden Garlic, Palm Beach Pineapple, or South Beach Heat. Follow that Rick's Hot Sauce Rookie of the Year battle in the Area Cup Series and see which driver takes home that $100 prize as the highest finishing rookie in the point standings. rickshotsauce.com. Well, after a 24-lap initial stretch, it's been a handful of yellows since. We've seen almost a half a dozen lead changes amongst 4 different leaders. John Hall was the first and the latest. Sebastian Marin, Jake Matheson, and Jake Nichols have also tasted a lead for some time in this race. And we should, well, maybe with Brad Slaughter a lap down now, we'll have 2 to go on this time by the stripe, and that will be the case.
Slaughter's going to get back on track, and definitely probably had required repairs, and he'll try to salvage whatever he can, as we're starting to see that trash rank get a little bit higher. 06 is out, 41's out, 16 Ben McDonald is out, and that should be it. 3 drivers out, 1 driver lap down. Shane Wolf, Danny Ware was the driver who hit the 83 late. He's the one coming in with front end damage. I thought it was a 09, but Bryce Sensek's not here tonight. And Daniel Day, Jeremy Brown, and Tyler Holman had damage from the previous yellow, so all those drivers outside the top 35 getting damage repair. As the drivers up front just hope for some green flag running, especially, I think it seemed like Matheson and Jake Nichols and Sebastian Marin, they seemed all faster than a 03, but they didn't get the run they needed to pass him in time. And then we've had a little bit of a flurry of yellows since then.
Yeah, we have had a little bit of a flurry, but it's July here in Charlotte, or at least for another day or 2. We'll get that sorted out here as we get ready to go racing. Here's Apollo. He's happy to have me back after being gone almost 16 straight days.
Seems tired.
Yeah, we had a very lazy day today, which I was very excited about after being on the road so much. But well, he's trying to figure out how to get comfortable. He used to sleep on his bed that was off to the side there, but he wasn't using it. He was just sitting on the computer, so I put it on the floor over here. Now he just sits on my lap, so that's what we've got going on here.
You get the 1 degree. Yeah, my cats don't use their beds either, so. But they never use it. That's a difference.
Got a bed behind you over your shoulder there?
Yeah, it's somewhere over there.
Check the other shoulder.
Yeah, no, it's over there.
What's on the right?
It's on the right. It's a box with stuff in it. That one? That box?
No, behind that.
Oh, that's a box of toys.
Oh, okay.
They do use that. You can see a taco in a bottle on the ground back there that they play with constantly.
I've got a little rocket toy. Funny enough, they don't make rocket cat toys. There's the whole Apollo thing, so I had to get a dog toy, but I guess it's all the same.
Yeah, it works out. Most of these could probably, they're almost toys for just pets in general, so.
You got a squeaker in it.
What difference it makes. Yeah. I think the toys I got, they probably have catnip or something in it that make them go crazy.
And catnip. I've got some. I should let Paulo have some fun later. You know, I also have in the fridge that I'm really excited about. I got some kind of fancy root beer my mom brought to VIR. I didn't get a chance to drink yet. It's like
Is it birch beer?
No, it's just got like a salted caramel root beer. So it's like a fancy flavor. I'm very excited about that. And now
I'd be into that.
I'm very excited. So let's get back racing here. Lap 54 of 120. Let's try this one again. John Hall in the 03 Ford F-150, and the 32 tried to launch, but he had to wait. He got spooked there on the start.
Since iRacing restart rules kind of saving John Hall. Clearly a jump, but I guess he gave it back, so it might be fine, as Valadez got his nose chopped by Ricky Springer there, and what that did was really hurt Trey Eisen's run. He might go back, well, he restarted fourth, but he's in the battle for third, as Marin loses second that time to the 52.
Yeah, Matheson is looking pretty good. I'm happy with my pick so far, Connor, as he works his way up into second place. And Trey Eitzen in the 70s having a phenomenal drive. And here's Travis Beckner creeping into the top 5 for the first time tonight. He started 6th, then kind of hovered just outside P5, but here he is now.
I feel like he's been fast all season. I feel like in every series he's running, he's not had any luck go his way, and he's kind of not been able to capitalize on the runs he's had, so he's hoping for better luck tonight, up into the top 5, battling for 4th with Eitzen. Rafe Slate's another driver who I don't think he's been near the front as much and getting the finishes this season either. He's almost into the top 5 battle, as they're 3 wide in the background of Garrett Grant on the top side. I think the 70 and 28 made contact. Seth Knoll is in the middle of that, just into Sogak's on the bottom.
Yeah, it looks like the 12 took a ride through the grass, or the AstroTurf on the front straight. Seth Knoll is in a bad spot right now. Behind the 5, in between the 45 and the 31. Don't like this out of turn 2.
And he probably is back here because he also might have had to repair that right rear damage that we saw earlier. They finally sorted out 2x2, and there is currently no 3 wide, but I'm sure everyone's ready to go to try to get some 3 wide going, as Hall leads. Matheson second. Here comes Trey Eitzen for third. He's going to get the right rear. Not quite. Tried to get the right rear. Matheson couldn't do it.
Jake Nichols up the hill. We haven't really seen drivers migrate to the high side yet because we haven't gotten
32.
enough consecutive laps to really make that worth it. The 70 of Eitzen got a massive run out of turn 2, and he drives to second.
Marin got way sideways out of 2, and Ray Slate gave him a big shove down the back straightaway as someone just fired it into turn 3, and the way back almost hit the wall, as everyone's trying to get everything they can. That was Chris Seidenfeld that almost hit the wall in 3. It looked like he pulled a slide job. He drove it so deep. They're banging doors. Sheeran and a Sogak 3 wide. They had issues last week, the 88 and 17, and they're still kind of hitting as Eitzen goes trying to get the race lead, and he will.
Oh, trouble back straightaway. The 5 of Garrett Grant. He's in the wall.
There it is again.
Almost up 4 tires in the air. What is it with the 5 and the double zeros in it? And a few more involved.
Right. Crashed Case Lakatos, Ryan Swan, Daniel Day, and once again, Garrett Grant gets air. And that's where I was looking with the 88 and 17, and I guess, I wonder if Garrett was going after someone there.
He's just kind of middle and just kind of ping-ponging around.
4 weeks in a row he's gotten air in his truck, and then Jeremy Brown hits Pacey Wygen, and that's where the second crash kind of happens.
Now the 1 comes up and actually gets the 5. I thought it was the 5 just kind of wobbling on his own at first. He does a little bit.
The 1 gets, I don't think Seth Knoll realized there were 3 wide. And then right there, 87, pile drives Pacey Wygen.
98.
And then Danny Ware. Danny Ware had nowhere to go. But this is the yellow that will change strategy, I think. I think with the yellows we're getting, it might be possible we see drivers pit for fuel and maybe try to stretch this to the end. Doesn't look like any of the front runners are, as you can see, bam, right there.
Yeah, Danny, he passed a lot of trucks that were slowing down. Probably could have jumped on the brakes a little sooner here, but again, you can't really see it. And then all of a sudden, everyone's just slowing down. He thinks he's just about to pass 12 cars, and then here comes the 5 and the 20, and bam.
Ooh, yeah, he's had some issues with that over the last 2 seasons, but it was really, like I said, the 87 kind of shoved a bunch of drivers into that, as didn't have too many pit stops. We're lap 60. This is pretty much the halfway point. You can make it 50-something on fuel, so this does kind of make things interesting, but we still didn't see many pit. Scott Tompkins might have been one of the few drivers that did pit, actually. I think I saw Connor Yurashak on pit lane. Yurashak might have actually been the first one to come in, and he was running 16th. Venable, who had come back through the field for 17th, also came down for some fuel, maybe some tires. But for the most part, everyone else is pretty confident we'll still have a green flag stop left. But if we get a flurry of yellows and everyone at the front decides they need the pit and get their fuel and tires now, that would then work out for Euroshak and Venable and all the others that pit with them.
I don't mind this strategy. I mean, Euroshak's been stuck back here for a while, so I think banking on some more yellows and saving some fuel isn't a bad idea. If it goes green, I mean, if this race runs like we, last night sort of did, where it was a lot of yellows and then it cleaned up from there on out, then I would be nervous if I'm in the 12. Or at least I don't think I'll be in the best position.
Probably not, as we'll cross halfway under caution, which I don't believe we did last night. I think we took halfway under green, but not the case tonight. But a good time for Trey Eidson to get the lead. He's been very fast short runs at the 2.5 you've been to, Texas and tonight at Charlotte. And he's able to get the lead here and got a yellow that kind of keeps him there for at least a little bit longer. And it'll be a little bit more tough for John Hall to get that back, I would think.
Brad Slaughter Jr. sitting in the pit lane, and that's why we have our extra caution lap. We just ESC out of that, we would shorten our pace laps a little bit. Pro tip for anybody, by the way, if you're out of the race, it's better for you to actually ESC because it'll save us a lap. Assuming that there's no one else a lap down. But in this case, everyone is on the lead lap with the exception of those that are out of the race.
And he went back on pit road. He had gone back on track, but then brought it back down. So at least for now, he's the 4th retirement of the race. Still have 39 trucks running with about maybe half a dozen still repair and crash damage, maybe a little more than that, actually. It's kind of funny. Jeremy Miller was the first one to get contact. It looks like his truck's been fully repaired, and he's actually in 23rd right now. So it's not the... It's kind of worked out for him with the flurry of yellows. He just needed the one yellow to get most of the repairs, and he's probably been repairing ever since. But that's kind of what Jake Nichols did last week. He got caught up in the second crash of the night, and it ruined his race. His average running position was like 25th, but he still mustered up a 12th place just because he persevered.
All right, this time we'll get the lights out. The drivers are antsy. See them already double filed.
Yeah.
They're ready
double
to
filed
go.
down the back.
Yeah, they're ready to rip here.
Interested to see how this restart goes, because last time we saw the restart before the last one. Marin was able to time it well, and then he tried to do it again, and John Hall waited even longer because he saw Marin trying to time it, so he had to change up his game. But now you got Eidson in the lead and Hall in second. Now Marin's relegated to 4th, so he can't do that. So see if John Hall tries to play games himself.
Do you find that there's a particular time in the zone that's harder for everyone else to gauge?
I think it causes more problems when the leader goes late because you're anticipating it and anticipating it. When they wait until almost when the green comes out, it causes stack ups because everyone row 2 on back's trying to time it for themselves, to where just like we saw last week at the second row, I mean, even the third row, all those rows are the ones who end up starting the race when the leader waits. That's kind of what the leader's doing by going late when they do that, is to cause chaos and to cause problems. So we'll see what happens here. I would hope we don't get the same thing to happen, but that's kind of what's been happening the past few weeks. We saw the jumps Tuesday night at Pocono from the second row starting the race, but we haven't seen anything quite like that yet. But like I said, we've seen the 32 try to time it themselves.
Double file, here we go. Trey Eidson is the control truck here, the red 70 on the inside. The 03 of John Hall's in the upper groove with Sebastian Marin behind him. It's Matheson in row 2 on the inside. Another late start, but Eidson fires off, he's clear.
Hall did not fire off well there. He's going to lose second to the 52. And it's going to let Beckner roll to be inside for third, as Matheson will have a run on the 70 out of 2.
Yeah, nice restart for the 52, up to second place. John Hall is going to have Travis Beckner to his inside now. We're a little 3 wide back here as Jeremy Miller goes to the inside of Connor Urashek. These two have had some tight quarters racing so far tonight. The 12 sideways. He saves it.
They had contact earlier. They had contact again. It looked like Urashek tried to throw a big crash in the way back. There's not even going to be a caution for that. Jeremy Brown and Daniel Ware takeout out of 4. What in the world? No caution. Ware is not going yet. And he's going to reset. So they're going to stay green. Miller, Urashek, and Hallman are 3 wide again in the back.
We'll check that crash out when we get an opportunity. Full 3 wide with the 7 of Joshua Balliet in the middle here out of turn 4.
I don't think that was intentional, but very, very odd at the way back. Even weird it didn't bring out a yellow, but looks like the 3 wide sorted out for the time being. Nichols trying to get back to the top 5. Beckner's trying to climb even further up. Marin's trying to recover as well, but we saw in the restart, 52 was very complacent. Didn't want to go for the lead right away. Pushed to 70 down the backstretch. Hasn't made that move quite yet, but Eitzen missed the bottom pretty badly there. That might give Matheson a run, but not quite.
All right, well, field sort of sorted 2 by 2. Here's what happened. Oh, the 87 was loose on the bottom, and then, oh, what? The 98 just got loose and then turned the 87 into the wall.
I don't think that was intentional, but very, very weird at the back. But like you said, it's kind of like what happened to Ed Robertson last night. Kind of hit the apron, caused a stack up. As Jurashek is trying to force 3 wide left and right. No pun intended. And a Sokak bumped the 69. Crash.
Oh, more trucks involved.
Oh, I thought Shane Wolf was going to hit the end of the wall. JT Poole's in this one, too.
Now, Jurashek's been super aggressive back there, just trying to make progress.
Yeah, he makes the move to the bottom cleanly. He gets there. And then I think the 69 might have had a moment.
Yeah, he just checks up a little, yeah. Wasn't really the 12's fault, actually.
Ooh, Shane Wolf had a big hit. I thought he was going to hit the barrel. Scott Tompkins barely got through there, but yeah. The 2 checks up because the 57 just causes a stack up. Bam, right there. And then Tompkins just weaved through it best he could. Jeremy Miller having to take the final chicane. The last yellow made things interesting. This one really makes it interesting.
And yeah, and you see, as you point out, really split decision here on who's going to pit when.
Because at this point, you could probably make it to the end of this race. So guys like Jurashek, Venable, they're going to stay out, but guys like Matheson and Marin, I guess they're going to hope for even more yellows or maybe a long run where they can even out on strategy once everyone else pits. But it looks like Nichols pit, John Hall pit, Marin, Matheson, Beckner, Balliet, Springer were the first 5 that didn't. But like you said, this is much more split than any other situation tonight.
Yeah, let's have a look. The top 8 trucks haven't pit since lap 24. And from about 15th on back are the trucks that just pit. So this is really going to upend the strategy here.
Yeah.
I think I would have pit here and just been done at this point.
Yeah, pretty much everyone, top 8 can't make it, no chance. So I am surprised they didn't pit here. I assume I think what they're going to hope for is that they get a green flag run long enough to where they don't have to pit under green, but everyone else would have to come back down for another set of tires. That's their best case scenario, I would think. If this goes green to the end, they're in a bad spot. And if there's a quick yellow, they're also in a bad spot because they'll probably be forced to come down to pit, and then they'll just be behind everyone who pretty much has the same tires as them. So I am surprised by this strategy.
Yeah, I don't know if I truly get it, but maybe they're hoping that they can just run another 10, 15, 20 laps, and then they'll want a tire advantage for the run after that, which I guess there is a way that this could work for them, but I think the circumstances are a little less obvious.
It's possible fuel might be closer to the point where they might be thinking everyone still has a stop left regardless of pitting here. I think from what I'm seeing fuel-wise, it is closer than it was earlier just because practice looked like people were maybe making it 54 on fuel, somewhere around there, but you got more on throttle time because we're under the lights now. It seems like that count has come down a little bit, so we'll restart with about 50 to go, and it looks like drivers will be pretty close on fuel. So even those drivers like Jurashek, like Venable, they might be tight on fuel still, and even the guys who just pit, they're gonna have to be on their toes as well.
I guess the only reason I could say not to pit is it puts you right in the thick of where all the wrecks have been happening tonight. You know, that 15th to 25th area has kind of been the dangerous spot to be. So I guess, you know, keeping yourself at the pointy end for as long as possible, I can see that being a pretty good strategy as well. Connor Jurashek is going to avoid pitting just to move up the order, which I think is probably wise. Venable on the apron here.
Yeah, that's pretty much a telltale sign that fuel is close when people are going on the apron, because it doesn't really do anything, but it kind of gives away what kind of game we have. we go in here. No
Can't imagine
Wineland.
it would hurt. I mean, it's not,
No.
not going to cause you to use any more fuel. I think just the gain is so negligible that I don't know if it's worth doing. But maybe every little bit helps.
Might as well try.
And the lights are out. Next time by, we'll restart again with just over 50 laps to go. It took us about, let's see, it took us 10 minutes to do the first 24 laps. And then the subsequent 50 took us about 40 minutes.
Like I said, the average time of this Charlotte race is usually just under an hour and a half, and we're tracking towards that. I don't know, we have 6, 7 yellows.
I think 6 right now.
Track record's 11 from last season.
Let's not do that.
We talked about this before the race. There's something about this track. I think it's because everyone owns it, everyone drives it, so everyone drives hard because they know the track, but then that just causes even more issues. As, oh, we got a third line forming for the restart,
oh, good.
seemingly.
Yep.
That's what we need.
Yeah, 3
and
wide
it's 2 of my
restarts.
drivers doing it. That's great. Jeremy gets a top 20 out of this. I think he'd be happy because he was junked.
Well, that's
Definitely still seems like he's damaged because he hasn't been able to get further.
Staying in it, right? I mean, until your truck is destroyed, that there has been a strategy to just getting out and making laps.
Yep.
All right, this restart will take us to 50 to go. Jake Matheson and Sebastian Marin are your control trucks. The 52 collects for the outside lane, and here we go.
Marin didn't time that one well. But he'll have the bottom through 1 and 2. He should keep second place from Balliet, and Beckner might be able to get third.
Marin, I think he's going to have a decent run on the backstretch here just to get himself cleared up to second place, carry some speed. Travis Beckner would really like to turn his luck around. You mentioned how good he's been running, but how poorly his luck has gone for him. He just needs things to go his way tonight. He's running very well.
Knightson just got shoved out of the groove. He'll lose a lot of track position over the drivers he pit with. We'll try to keep a note at who's highest up with the freshest tires, but not aware right now because the battle for the leads between everyone who has definitely got to make a stop and everyone else is maybe a little bit of a question mark as Matheson leads. Here's Euroshak 3 and a Sogak follows Bowie, or at least gets by Bowie. It almost looked like him and Noel almost made contact fighting for the middle. Whoa, look at that.
Tight squeeze here out of turn 4. Euroshak has loved being 3 wide tonight. It's a bit of a tight squish on the front straightaway. The 54 on the outside, the 1 in the middle, and the 12 on the bottom. Little side-by-side contact into turn 1.
And the 1 and the 12 have had plenty of contact tonight. That's just adding on to it as the 88 sideways in the middle of the track is going to have to get a shove from the 1 down the backstretch. Yershak getting away from that side draft, running the bottom line as here comes one of the other Hendry County trucks to the bottom. That was the 89 of Matthew Batby. It's taken him all race to recover from starting at the back, but he's finally showing his face here in the background.
There he is in the 89, started 41st on the night. He has got a tight pack of trucks out the windshield here.
Oh, crash! Beckner in the wall.
Well, there goes his luck. He keeps it straight, but Beckner's night is likely over.
I think that might have been net code between him and Ricky Springer. We'll see here.
Yeah, a little bit, right? I mean, this one's a little tough. Let's have another look from high above. Springer to the outside here. Yeah, there was.
Just shouldn't have happened.
Yeah.
Oh, Venable had contact too, but yeah, that kills Beckner.
Yeah, I don't think that was another one of those wrecks that I don't think would have happened. You know, that's a rare situation for me to say, hey, netcode was the problem, but there I think it was.
Yeah, Beckner didn't care. I looked for the radio. He was not happy, but either
I can
way.
understand that. I mean,
Ricky Springer got dumped. He got dumped by Seth Knoll.
He keeps it straight, but the caution's out, and there's the
behind.
rest.
Tompkins, Danny Ware, and Rafe Slate. Excuse me, Ryan Swan and Rafe Slate.
7th caution of the night. 45 laps to go. Well, let's look at the actual incident first here in this checkup. 55 just kind of bulldozes everybody there, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Let's see if we can see what he saw. Give him a bit more fair perspective here. Yeah. hard to judge how much they tried there, but. And then the incident was with the 51. The one
kind of looked like he drove through him. I think Seth came over the radio saying he wasn't near him, but that one I think is a little
this one
harder to tell. See right here.
He just drove into him. Looked like.
I think he was gonna hit him.
Yeah.
It was weird because I thought it would have been one of Beckner's teammates hitting them. Then I looked up at Seth. No, it looked like I think he tries to throttle up to his outside, and he just isn't quite up there enough.
No, he didn't really lift either, did he? You saw the 51 turn sideways, and he kept the foot in it. So
and all those drivers who had stayed out, or at least most of them that were at the front, come down to make sure they can make it on fuel. They were kind of left no choice.
Didn't work out for the one either. That's what I don't understand is why not just lift? It did not work out for him, and it rarely does, right? I mean, you've been in this position too at times, Connor, where you're like in a wreck, and sometimes you just want to get through it, so you just keep your foot to the floor. But generally, there's a little bit of self-preservation there that's going to hurt the one. He's, as far as his championship has been going, where is he on the
scoring? Mid-pack, 29th, not really mid-pack. So no, I mean, he had it's another one like the 81 or like the 28 who have had good runs and not getting the finishes. Pocono was another example of that.
Yeah, 36th at Daytona, 37th at Pocono, and a 7th at Texas.
Yeah, Daytona's Daytona, and obviously, like you said, he had the good run at Texas, and he was up at the front again at Pocono, was caught up in one of those 12 yellows, but this one, yeah, I don't know if I can contribute that one to netcode. It just looked like a little bit of a misjudgment trying to get to the right rear. And we saw him make an aggressive move the lap before, went middle on the 12, and that one got crazy.
I guess that's what I'm getting at, right? Is Seth Knowles an experienced driver with a lot of talent and skill, right? You're 27th in the standings. I don't know that I would be taking this risk, right? I mean, even if there's space there, I don't know that I would be going for the hole that is there. But it didn't work out for him. That's the unfortunate part is, if he had made the pass and he got away with it, that's one thing, but he got a lot of damage out of that.
Took a lot of other drivers out.
Yeah, so I don't know that I quite get it.
Springer, he said, Jacob Bell said that he even saw netcode.
Well, it does get to a point when you have a couple legitimate netcode incidents, it gets really easy just to say that it was netcode, but you got to, I mean, you do have to have some responsibility with it too, right?
I guess Ricky's okay with it though, because I think he's still weirded out by the contact with the 28.
Yeah, that one
was just kind of taking the benefit of the doubt.
So generally, as far as I know, so we Connor, you might be able to correct me on this. We see the patched replay generally, where we see the cars as they truly are, with the slight delay, and the drivers see client side stuff, so they might see it a lot more than we do. So we'll keep that disclaimer that the drivers might see something different. But
yeah, it's possible they see something different, and I'll probably be able to take a look and see if it was different from anyone else's POVs. But it's still definitely crazy crash. As kind of got crazy there. We were kind of talking about this when the cautions start falling, the aggression picks up because everyone realizes they might not get that green flag run. So they might not have to save anymore, so everyone's going to go crazy. It's kind of what's happened so far. Is we're going to restart with about 41 laps to go. You can almost certainly make it from here, and most of those drivers who hadn't pit are pitting now. Eric Wineland actually just PM'd me. He is saving hard, so even these guys that are staying out, like Bappy, like Wineland, and Jake Nichols even, they're going to have to save a little bit. While the guys who just pit, they're going to be able to go full song. And I believe John Hall's still one of those drivers who almost certainly can't make it, but he's kind of on an island now.
He's got 11 laps on his tank.
So he did pit.
Yeah,
excuse me.
And so really Eric Wineland is the lone exception. He's got the most laps of anybody. He's got 6 more laps on his tank of fuel than anyone else in this order. The next highest is 11, which most of the top 12 has. And then from there on out, it's the fresh pit stops, Marin, Venable, Valiette, Urashek, etc. Those drivers are about 13th on back. And they are definitely good to the end, plus the possibility of the 3 green-white checkers, which we hope not to explore the upper limits of.
see if it gets calmer, because it seems like there's going to be at least a few drivers trying to save a little bit.
Let's see what happens. Lap 80, restart with just over 40 laps to go. And green flag, we're back underway. John Hall gets a nice restart, and Batby falls in line.
We said it has taken Matthew Batby this entire race to get to the front, but he was very fast at Texas, and he's out the front once again. And you got so many drivers back here, like Matheson, like Venable, who are going to try to be getting back up there to get their track position back.
Batby, second place. Look at Jake Nichols on the outside. Trey Heitzen moving forward. How about David Weishart? We haven't really talked a lot about him tonight. Started 33rd deep in the field, and here he is about to crack into the top 5, and he should have enough fuel to make it to the end of the race.
We'll have to see, but yeah, he's had a very slow climb himself. He also didn't have much luck last night, and he's trying to right that for now. He's going to have to fall back in line. Heitzen trying to roll the top side as Wineland kind of blocked Scherer for that third position, as Nichols is going to make the higher line work. He's going around Wineland. He's looking to be outside of Batby, but can't get to the right recorder panel.
Outside lane's a powerful place to be. I think we saw that earlier in the race. Once you get these trucks up to full song here, I think it gets a little easier to roll that outside momentum. Batby looks to the outside of John Hall. Look at the momentum. He's going to build one car length, half a car length, and he is there. Hall goes defensive down the back straightaway.
We saw this even earlier in the race where he was able to hold the bottom and Nichols couldn't really do anything even while pinching on the high line. Batby drove it in so hard to the center of the corner. I think he's going to be able to make this pass anyways.
And he will, but his internet's not cooperating very much. He goes to the top spot as here comes Urashak. Again looking 3 wide. He really has got himself in a position where he's had to be aggressive. Venable to the outside.
Oh, there's contact. Chris Seidenfeld in the round out of 2. Everyone straight. No, back into traffic. Clipped the 88. And the caution's out again. They're still crashing. Tyler Hallman destroyed.
See what happened this time. Seidenfeld was the... Oops. Thought I had bookmarked that one, but I had not. Let's do this again.
Fit 45's on the top.
Oh,
okay.
that was actually a huge
right.
ball in that code. All right. That one I'll give you, boys.
We've had so many crashes calls that weren't going to be calls tonight.
What's strange is that this wasn't the case last week, right? We saw a lot of wrecks last week, and we didn't see any of this.
It's almost, you got to start thinking it's track. It's either server specific or track specific.
Well, it wouldn't make sense that it's track specific, like just with how that code, like the fundamentals of netcode are.
Tyler Hallman came in so late.
It's. I would have to imagine that it's server related or something, right? Because this code doesn't. I mean, it's definitely tuned per car, but it's a predictive code, right? So you tend to see cars that are faster struggle with it more because it has to think further ahead. So like you see it a lot with the IR18 IndyCar, big netcode moments, because it has to predict, 50, 60, 100 feet ahead of the car to be able to make sure that you can race in real time. With the trucks, you're not going quite as fast, but again, it does seem to be a lot worse tonight than we've seen it other times. And then this is the only way to get the natural car movement that iRacing has is to have this kind of prediction code. So it's frustrating when sometimes you see people go, I wish they would just get rid of netcode. It's like, well, that's not exactly how it works, right? There's a couple different ways that games attack this. And there are some that will reduce the netcode effect by having or allowing a bit more jitter in the car movement. So that's why when you watch games like Assetto Corsa Competizione or R Factor 2, when the cars move very unnaturally and they kind of skitter along the surface, that's because they're allowing more jitter. They're allowing the car to kind of do a more real-time movement, but that is at the expense of smoothness and really how it looks, right? So to create better predictability, iRacing has smoothed out the inputs, and their predictive code is some of the best in the industry, but when it goes wrong, it does look bad, doesn't it?
Yeah, and it's kind of been that type of way tonight. There's been so many people taken out when they shouldn't have been, like the 28 of Beckner, like Seidenfeld right there. He just had nothing he could do. He was completely away from the contact between the 2 and the 8, which was legitimate.
Yeah, and again, I'd have to imagine, going back to what you're commenting about, it's either the server or the car, but I think it's more likely that
track.
It's a server issue, or there's something going on pipeline somewhere. But there would be no technological reason why tracks would be different, but there would for cars, but then it would be again, like the iRacing Indy car, you see it a lot more just because of the speeds that you're doing. The F1 car is the same. You tend to see it less with the slower cars you get, right? You don't see it a lot in MX-5s or Solstices or things like that because it doesn't have to predict 100 feet ahead. It's more like 10. So, but it should, in theory, work the same at every track. But server-wise, that would really be your biggest impact, I think. You've got overload or any number of things that can affect people's connections. Again, we would have seen this earlier in the season if it was a driver-specific problem. Of course, everyone's personal internet connection also factors into that equation. We have seen drivers in the past have pretty terrible internet, but I don't think that's really been the case tonight.
No, everyone's quality is fine. It hasn't been internet related. I haven't even really been seeing many drivers blink. Batby was one of the first. And what it's done is really slowed down the pace for the most part because the first incident was legit. But since then, we've had a lot of crashes caused by this netcode. We had our first run of the race be 22, 23 laps. And since then, over the next 60 laps that we've ran, we haven't had a run longer than 7 laps.
Yeah, so I guess... I mean, the Seidenfeiden one was certainly netcode. The Travis Beckner one was also a netcode as well. I don't believe that one triggered a yellow.
No, it did
but
not.
2 laps later, we had the Scott Tompkins crash in 4. There's probably a few others that we could have attributed in some small part. You know, the one in the 51 seemed to think that there was a lot there. But anyway, we'll restart. We're starting to wind down the laps here. Just over 30 to go.
The 16. Out of 2.
Oh, right. That's the other
that stacked up. That was the big one as well.
Yeah, so you just hope that, knowing that, you try to give a little wider berth. But in the most recent crash, that was big enough that, and same with the 16, I don't think that there was really a lot you could have done. In the case of the 28, right, that one was one where if you left a little more space, it probably wouldn't have happened.
I mean, we've seen that type of crash before where you're pinching so hard to the bottom and it ends up hooking a driver on the bottom. We've seen that before. And
that's why I always say it's like you can't really blame the netcode when you're running close enough that you don't leave any margin because, you know, you're racing on the internet, right? So if you're racing an inch off someone's door and you come together, it's not that weird. But, you know, when it's 10 feet, that's when you can attribute it and say, oh man, there was nothing I could have done there. But let's try it again, lap 88, Connor.
That's kind of what we've been talking about all night, because most of the time when there is netcode, it's usually when the crash was going to happen anyways. We saw a lot of that last week as well in this series. Tonight, that really hasn't been the case.
Yeah, at least the cautions are a little less painful here at Charlotte. But Pace Truck is going to make the left, and Matthew Batby is your race leader. He is elected for the outside lane. Lap 88, just over 30 laps to go. And late in the restart zone, here we go.
Oh, that car's stacking up. Big time stacking up.
4 wide. Now back to 3. Man, Euroshak has just been the center of some action tonight.
Oh, they're crashing already. Garrett Grant, Seidenfeiden killed the wall.
And we're back.
James Shane Wolf. And that was definitely... I feel like part of it was caused by the leader, but Garrett Grant, James Shane Wolf make contact, and Chris Seidenfeiden just gets killed out of it.
Yeah, this 5 just turning left down here. Hooks the 83.
Yeah, that was tough. I feel like maybe some of that I assume was caused by a stack up because they did not go at all there. But it seemed like everyone got through cleanly, and then the 5 kind of came down on the 83, and they looks like Bowie just escaped that. Chris Seidenfeiden did not. So now we'll probably get a restart under 30 laps to go, and the more yellows like this we get, the less time we have to take another set of tires, because getting less tire fall off, obviously, so you almost certainly won't see a lot of people pit anymore, even at this point. I mean, we'd have to get a run 15, 20 laps for people to even consider pitting.
Yeah, so again, I mean, going back to the strategies that were played earlier, you know, we were wondering why drivers would have stayed out and pit. And it looks like, I mean, if you're looking for the 52, where's he ended up? 10th. You know, this is why that earlier pit stop sequence, I think, was better, because it cycled you to the front into a position where you could really just kind of ride this out. John Hall, Nichols, Eitzen are in a good spot. I think this is really working out for is Eric Wineland, right? He can save a ton of fuel under yellow, and you hear him continue to do that. Needs to save about 6 laps worth to be on par with everybody else, but he's had 28 laps that he's been on the racetrack, and the vast majority of those have been under yellow.
Yes, yeah, this is exactly what he needs, because he was panicking about the fuel he was going to have to save, but hopefully it should be less of a panic this time, as it seems like everyone at the front doesn't really have any damage. It looks like the 70 actually has some rear damage out of that stack up. You can see it from Wineland's onboard. But for the most part, everyone else looks clean, and it didn't seem like the crash was really attributed to the stack up, but it was definitely seemed like row 2 tried to time it, and then they went late in the zone like we were talking about earlier, and it caused that stack up.
Yeah, so let's go back to the restart again and watch from high above here as they come out of 4. Let's see kind of where this.
See where it starts. Then we're in the zone.
So you see the 7. The back there, I mean, yeah, right there, the 52, 17, man, that's just a real mess.
It's like the 17 is kind of going, and it just causes all of that. The bottom wasn't that bad. It was really the top side that kind of, because Scherer, he wasn't even really laying back, but he definitely anticipates it, and then he's early, so he lifts off, and then everyone behind him thinks they're going because he's going, then he has to stop, so 10 rows back has to stop because of that. It only takes one person to mistime it, and then you got 10 rows back, though.
It's working out for Batby. That restart method, just stack everybody up behind you, pack them all in. It's like just trying to zipper merge on the highway, and some guy comes to a stop, and it just triggers an accident behind you. Clears up the traffic.
Yeah, this is exactly what he wants to see. He's fought all race to get to the front, and if this keeps going like this, he'll certainly take it, although probably like Yershak last week, he probably won't be happy about the race, but a win's a win regardless, as we're up to 9 cautions. We're 2 away from that series track record, as we should be on 2 to green, I would think. Hopefully getting 1 to green. Looks like he'll choose to top again, and that's probably probably part of the reason why Scherer was timing it, because he knew the leader was in the high side, so he knows he's got to be ready. He can't just, because usually when the leader takes the bottom, driver on 6, you can usually see the leader from there and kind of time it. When you're 6th and the leader takes the top, you're kind of just guessing.
So before we get back to the restart here, we'll tell you about shop.areairacing.com. Race fans, make sure you visit shop.areairacing.com for high-quality merchandise at low prices. Shop from over 100 selections of t-shirts, hats, Champion brand clothing, and more area accessories. Easier to shop, quicker to ship, better to wear. Shop.areairacing.com. On the green and doubling up again.
28 to go now on the restart. And even with how many yellows we've had, still the main players at the front are at the front. The wrecks have not really been happening at the front is the thing. Not like last week where it seemed like every front runner was getting involved. Pretty much everyone who's ran at the front is at the front. Like John Hall, who's kind of been one of those dominant forces of the race. Jake Nichols, Matheson's 10th because he had pit. Weisehart's worked his way up. Marin's still 7th. So all the players who have been up the front are still at the front. Even Michael Venable, he's still recovering from the speeding penalty. He's almost back to the top 10.
Yeah, it hasn't been an easy night to recover either, right? You haven't had a lot of opportunity other than playing strategy to make up positions. But you're right. I mean, most of the front runners have sort of cycled into the back top 10, despite a few different strategies playing out here. I think one driver to keep my eye on is Sebastian Merritt. He's the highest runner of the drivers on the freshest tires. I'm not sure how much that matters because of how many laps have been run under yellow, but about 10 lap fresher tires than anybody else ahead of him, and the next person that has the same tires as him is Jake Matheson in 10th, 3 spots behind him. Here we go, lap 93 of 120. Here we go once again. Batby, John Hall. Another very late restart. This time the field is a little wiser to it. We're back underway.
Might have helped for there not to be a stack up. Trey Hudson definitely laid off about a truck leg there, but keeps things clean, at least for the 1 and 2, as John Hall's going to just get 3rd place from the 70.
Jake Nichols in the 73. Big block from the 8 on the 12 of Connor Urashak.
He doesn't want to be 3 wide.
No, he does not.
Bappy really washed up out of 4. It's going to give John Hall a run to the inside here for the lead.
Here comes John Hall to the bottom. Started on pole. He wants the lead back. He's going to get it and take it and cycle to the front out of turn 2.
Thought he was going to get tight, but he really was pretty clean there out of turn 2 without any issue. So I don't know how much Bappy's going to be able to fight this. Nichols back 3rd, Eitzen 4th, Weishart 5th, and they're 2x2, very tightly packed, 6th on back.
A little big wiggle by the 8. And here comes Bappy back to the inside. He'd like to try the lead again. He wasn't done and satisfied just yet.
Starting to see that dirty air, maybe not playing as much of a factor because of how fast the track's gotten. It seems like even when you're following someone, that draft is enough to overweigh that dirty air, kind of hurting them, and it's allowing them to get these runs back to the bottom, but it's still so hard to make that pass on the bottom as there's crashing in the back. Daniel Day in the fence. Ooh, big hits again.
Oh man, still
Gary Waterworth. Gary Waterworth, Ben Pierce, Justin Anasogak get some damage out of it, and I think Mason Kane got the front end ripped off, and he will not be able to get back to pit road.
What happens here with Day?
Ooh, Springer in the wall on entry, and it just stacks things up. Trader into a back. Nowhere for the 2 to go.
Oh, that Mason Kane.
Ooh.
What happened to the 31? It looked like that was almost separate.
I feel like Waterworth coming down the track maybe had a piece to do with that. Got a good look here. Trying to get down, down. Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
Another angle another wall that usually doesn't get hit. We found it. And looked like Waterworth maybe he was trying to get off the track, but he hit so hard. I'm not sure how much control he has, but it almost looks like he's turning left to get off the track, but everyone's trying to avoid the crash to get down there, so it's better not to anticipate getting out of people's way and just to hold the brake. Probably just would have been fine there. And I'm sure Mason's not going to be happy about how that went down, as he's done for the night, almost certainly.
Back under yellow. What's our longest green flag stretch been since lap 24?
I believe, I think it was the run after, which was about 7 laps, 28 to 34. Then we went 5 laps, then about 2.5, then another 5, then another 4. And then we've kind of been in these 4 or 5 lap increments at best as of late, since we had the 20+ lap run ended by the Spencer Burns yellow. And this one just took out, that one's going to take out even more trucks and make fuel less of a problem and make tires less of a problem. You're pretty much done at this point pitting, when now we're going to restart with 20 to go. But it seems like even through all this, it's still a battle at the front on these restarts. You got John Hall and Bappy swapping. Jake Nichols, it just doesn't seem like he can, maybe he doesn't want to yet, but with all these yellows, you'd think he wants to take the lead away regardless. He hasn't been able to really get between this battle yet. And Weishart just got 4th from Eitzen. It seemed like his damage on the right rear wasn't hurting him too much. And Marin, same thing. He's trying to climb back to the front. Matheson is up to 7th, notably. So he's still kind of moving up a row here and there. But with a lack of green flag running, it's going to get tougher and tougher.
And we'll get 2 to go here.
Oh, Balliette's taking the Roval. Not this season.
You run the Roval, you don't have any yellows at least.
I mean, I guess.
Everyone always wonders why I like road racing so much.
Because it doesn't slow down.
Well, it's like the race is 40 minutes, the race is 40 minutes, right? And, yeah, this race had promise too, 24 good laps to start.
Just kind of what can happen. It wasn't the case at Pocono, and obviously it's not really track or weather related for the most part. It's been netcode related, but when the sun goes down, you're going to be more packed up than you would be during the day. And we've just been having these restarts where we're seeing 2 wide, 3 wide, and eventually someone makes a mistake. Or for the most part, it's been netcode tonight, like I said. But like the last crash we just saw, someone makes a mistake, stack things up. That's all it takes. That was caution number 10 of the night.
So John Hall leads the way, and he's had a pretty good night tonight, almost 50 laps led. And so if you're looking at the drivers that are really in position, Matthew Bappy's led a couple. Jake Nichols has only led one lap. And he's third, so that's dangerous for everyone else. Points leader has only led one lap. He's third, and it's going to be on the inside of the second row for the restart.
And he's been, for the most part, in front of the drivers closest to him with points. Van Apel's 6 points back. He's been in front of him. And Reese Schaefer has kind of been grinding tonight to try to stay in this fight. He's had some damage, and he's still top 20, but he's already going to have probably close to a double-digit points lead over the 95. It's not guaranteed because Venable's running very well, but he's very early on flexing his muscle consistency-wise. Because like I said, he was in the first crash last week, and he still ended up 12th, just persevering. So that's what makes him one of the greats of this league.
On the back straightaway, under yellow here, we're coming to the restart with just over 20 laps to go. David Weishart has just quietly snuck in there, that 812 Pizza Company Toyota TRD Tundra Pro. As I mentioned, this is a truck that I'd be keeping my eyes on. Hasn't led a lap yet this race, but he came from the back. He's kept his nose clean best he can tonight, dodging and weaving. I'm not sure that he's got all-out pace, but I don't know if it's going to matter all that much if you just get yourself in position.
One good restart, anything can happen for him. He's pretty good in points, 16th. Hasn't had the best finishes, but solidly in the fight for the playoffs early on, and has a big opportunity here if he can get off the line fast and maybe have a run off the top.
Truck's off. 21 laps to go. John Hall, Matthew Batby, Jake Nichols, David Weishart, Trey Eitzen, your top 5. Here we go. Let's get a nice 20-lap run to the end here, boys.
Not 33 didn't go there. I almost forgot Hall was the leader. He picked the bottom, which was different from what we've been seeing from Batby. But Batby's able to stay second. Nichols is not going to clear Weishart for third. I'm still watching that 52 truck creep up into the picture with fresher tires.
At 89, he wants back by, needs to build a run in the middle of the racetrack. He's clear from third on back, so he can just focus on the race leader. I think having the track position now is the best place to be, so I don't think you can linger back here for too long, and he's going to go to the bottom in turn 1.
No, if the rate of yellows we've been seeing, you got to go now. You can't just ride, because you keep riding, you're losing the chance once that yellow comes out and losing laps to do it. But that bottom line, it's still so hard to make work, and now when you don't make that pass, the 33 could take advantage, but he looks like he's going to choose to push the 89 instead, as Marin way to the outside, trying to rip the Larson line. Now they're 3 wide for 4th because of it, but him and Matheson are working their way up.
And look at the run Marin gets here. He's going to close in on the 33 a touch. Really like that lane that Marin's been running tonight. He's been aggressive with it. Jake Matheson, remember, he's one of those trucks, including Marin, that have a little fresher tires than everybody else. It's not going to make a huge difference, but it could be the difference in the last 20 laps of this race.
I'm not sure if Yurashak, he might be on the same strategy, just got by Jake Nichols with relative ease, but you're starting to see Marin kind of get blocked here because everyone in front of him is kind of running that high line. Batby and Weishart are both running high to try to get that run on John Hall, so he can't run his preferred line because of that. But Matheson as a carry is going to go to the inside, try to take clean air. Now Batby goes to the bottom, shoots off the 52's clean air, and that's going to let Weishart and Marin re-clear the 52.
Yeah, had to lift their mid-corner. That's to let the 32 get back by. Connor Yurashak is finally in contention to race up here after getting everybody 3 wide all night long. Dodging and weaving and pit strategy and playing games, but he's back to 6th with 17 laps to go.
0-3 looks stronger this run too. Jake Nichols just got blocked to the wall by Connor Yurashak, but Hall looks strong this time. He hasn't been really challenged for this race lead as seriously as the previous yellow.
Look at Matheson trying to get to the quarter panel of Marin. Marin would not let it happen.
He's trying everything he possibly can. Batby has been trying all sorts of different lanes, but just can't make it work, and losing ground of a 0-3 just little by little per lap. But 0-3 is going to be able to get away, and it's up to Weishart if Batby can't contend for this win. Weishart, Marin, or Matheson, one of these two might be better for them to let, I wouldn't say wanting to let Matheson go, but those guys on fresher tires might be better if they battle for the win and slow them two down. Something like that could come into play.
12 car has a run here on Jake Matheson. Yurashak is on the same strategy, has the same amount of tire, same amount of fuel as the 52 and the 32.
and way more aggression to boot.
Yeah.
So that can play into his factor. Weishart has a run on Bappy. He took a look to the outside, just could not get there. And here comes Marin. He's going to run that way high line, wind it up out of 2. Hope to get to the right rear of Weishart, but not going to be able to do it.
Will he give Weishart a shove?
He's going to have no choice. He knows the bottom's not working.
And the 12 is going to take the advantage of everyone not filling the
Washed
bottom
up.
groove. A big push there, center corner.
Drove it in too hard, washed up off the bottom line. It's going to let Nichols back to his outside or inside. Yershak tried to protect both lanes. Going to get pushed to the AstroTurf by the 12 there a little bit. Battle for 6. This Yershak just a struggle with how fast the pace is. Passing's getting tough. 3 wide for 3rd. Matheson backed out of it, but now Marin's back to that bottom line.
That's why Charlotte's fun. You can run any line here and find speed with it. Marin right to the quarter panel of Weishart. He's not playing games. He needs this 3rd spot to go up there and battle Bappy and Hall. Side by side at a turn 4 for 3rd place.
He came so close. That was his moment to clear him, but just couldn't do it. What he needs is Bappy to get far enough ahead to where he can try to drive it in hard to the corner and slide up in front of the 33. That's what I had to do a lot of drivers last night, but there's not enough off-throttle time to really make that work, and the drivers ahead aren't getting far enough ahead to have a gap to do that. So it's really keeping him pinned on this bottom, and it's probably going to let Matheson have another chance to get back by on the outside.
Trey Eidson got put middle through wide. He didn't like that. Backed out. The 17's in a tough spot here out of turn 4. Had a Seth Knoll who crosses him over. 12 laps to go. Winding it down to 51. Look at that elevator move to the top floor entering turn 1.
I don't know. 32 tried it there. He got contact from Weishart, pulled the slider in 1 and 2. I don't think the 33 appreciated it, but Bappy made the move he needed to make. They're having contact from the 52 as well. Now Matheson had to drive it in deep as they're 3 wide in the background with Garrett Grant on the bottom.
Yeah, Eric Wineland in the middle of that. He does not want to be there, I bet. Onto the front straightaway. 11 laps to go, ticking him down. And the battle for seconds back on. Marin goes to the top. I think Bappy would be wise to cover this off, but he didn't. And he might have to sit in the bed that he's made here. And he stays to the bottom.
And this is not what John Hall wants to see. I think this is one of the few drivers that can actually beat him. It almost looks like Bappy's letting him go and saying, hey, I can't catch him. I'll let you go, slow him down so I can stay in this fight. That's what it seemed to me there. He knows he's been losing to a 0-3, so now maybe he's hoping Marin can bring them back.
Well, he said that the cream is going to rise to the top here once we start to get into the traditional racetracks. And so far it was Daytona and Pocono where 32 Sebastian Marin was outside of the top 15, but at Texas, a track that is similar in some ways here to Charlotte, he finished 2nd. So he is in tying his best finish right now and has the pace, I think, to go up there and run John Hall down.
And you can see how much faster he is than Bappy. He just took that long to make that pass. The 89 is struggling and holding back probably at least 5 trucks right now as Matheson once again going to get to the outside 89. Last time by, a 10th faster Sebastian Marin was compared to John Hall, and he's just about half a second behind with 9 to go. At that rate, he'll get there, but he needs to get there with enough time to actually attempt the pass.
Yeah, that Matheson's in good shape, though. They're 3 wide with the 38 of Patrick Moose in the middle on the backstretch. Reece Schaefer on the bottom. Rafe Slade on the high side. This is a tight quarter squeeze here.
Not what John Hall wants to see.
Nope. That was very dicey.
Oh, we're not done.
8 to go. 3 wide for about 13th place.
Oh, Schaefer's just going to slide up in front of all of them, just try to be done with this battle, and he'll actually make it work. Now Springer stuck to the middle. Knoll and him had contact earlier.
3 wide up here as well. The 7's in the middle. Garrett Grant trying to make his way forward. Ooh, that's tight.
And something, it seems like, I guess the 73 may be beat on tire strategy because he had speed earlier.
Oh.
Nichols has none now. Slate got booted to the high side there. He just doored Knoll. There's contact, retaliation maybe.
I think they just got all crossed up in a bad spot into turn 1, but it's going to send everybody way out wide. This is a fierce battle.
Here comes Shearer to the bottom. Slate's going to shove completely down into turn 3, the 1 truck. And he's going to hit him again and put him in the Patrick Moose.
Yeah, he just wrecked him.
And he wrecked himself. Trey Eidson destroyed, cautions out, and we'll have a late race restart.
Yeah, I don't understand that. He drove off in there, proud determined to kill a 1, and he ended up wrecking innocent trucks in that. He's got to feel for Eidson in the 70.
I think him and Knoll had contact on the front. that Rafe was not happy with. Yeah, that's pretty obvious. And Patrick Moose had nothing he could do. Jeremy Miller had nothing he could do. Bowie, one of the other Hendrick County Motorsports Park trucks, involved as well.
Just drove in there. Drove right through him.
Yeah, it's not, I think they had contact on the front, and Rafe was not happy with how he got by. This makes things interesting. I don't think you would pit here. I don't think you want to give up track position at this point. The Hall stays out. Everyone will stay out. So no strategy really there. As right here, things stack up. Nolan to the back of the Rafe a little bit. Rafe comes down, hits him there. Hits him into his teammate Ricky Springer, actually.
I don't really see anything that the 1 did wrong there. I mean, I know there was a little contact, but it seems like the 8 got his payback on the front stretches. You called that. And then he goes down here and just dumps him.
Sends him in the, pushes him into 3. I figured he made this point, but slams him there, bam. And then Patrick Moose, he's just, there's nothing he can do. And poor Trey Eidson just gets clobbered because of it. And nothing either of those drivers could do there, as I think Danny Ware gets the free pass. Pretty much everyone stays out. Track position is key. The fall off was looking to be about, it looked to be about 1.5 seconds. So the fall off's there. And the first driver out on tires looks to be James Shane Wolf. So we'll see how far him, Cher, Wygen can get to the front. So I don't think they're going to have enough time to get to the front, but we'll see how it goes.
We're getting down to the last few laps of this race. John Hall, Sebastian Marin, Jake Matheson. Now, you mentioned John Hall's not stoked about this. He's got 9-lap older tires than Marin and Matheson, and pretty much everybody, well, Batby's in a similar position. Garrett Grant's got newer tires than everybody. He's going to be 6th in this. And Jake Nichols back to 10th.
Yeah, he had a horrible run there. His tires aren't worse than some of the drivers around him, but it seems like he just got ganged up on, and it's probably the lowest he's ran all race, and did not feel like it was worth taking tires, as I think fresh tires will be about 20th, 19th.
I don't get is how the 8's allowed back on the racetrack. I mean, to me, that was about as clearly intentional as it's going to get, but we're going to let problem drivers go back out and continue to race. That this is partially why we've had so many yellows, is this stuff needs to be taken more seriously than that. That's a miss for me. I mean, it's not like it was even remotely close to not being intentional, but
yeah, it is what it is. If you let it go, it allows retaliation to happen if you don't police it yourself. So it's,
well, we parked the 06 for something
06.
I thought less egregious, actually.
I think that one was still deserved.
Oh no, I don't think that the 06 didn't deserve it. I just think that the 8 should get the same thing.
Yeah, I don't know. That's just, I think that the problem with it is that he, whether he thought the 1 did something egregious on the front stretch, I was whatever, but then he doored him on the front. He actually doored Seth into his own teammate and gave Ricky Springer extra damage. And at that point, it's like, all right, made your point. And then 1 gets clear, shoves him into 3. He's like, all right, you're still mad, just push me. I understand. And then just didn't even give the 1 a chance to make the corner. I could guarantee Seth was probably locked up trying to stay off Patrick Moose, and there's nothing he could do. Had Patrick Moose not been there, it's still over the line. But yeah, just, if you're gonna do that, you can't get innocent people involved.
So coming to 2 laps to go, this is going to be not counting towards our green-white checker total, because this is a natural GWC here.
Yeah, and like we said, about 18 drivers stayed out. James Shane Wolf's been involved in a lot of crashes that not of his doing, but he will have some of the freshest tires to the end here. I believe Edward Shear also has fresh tires. They only have 2 laps. It'll be a natural green-white checkered, but they won't have a lot of time to make time up with that. And we've seen how Sebastian Marin's been timing these restarts. If he can time one just right, he might have a shot, and he still does have the tire advantage, but so does Matheson and Euroshak.
John Hall, Sebastian Marin are on the front row. Jake Matheson, I think, is in the catbird seat here. If I'm the 52 or the 12, I'm going to sit back here and watch the chaos out the windshield, because it is time for the last 2 laps of this Area Truck Series race here from Charlotte. Watch the restart into the zone. Pretty good launch by the 03. The 52 spun his tires.
He spun him big time. Wasn't expecting that, but Marin timed it perfectly, but could not stay on the right rear of John Hall.
A little bit of free wide back here. Miller in the middle. Tight squeeze down the back straightaway. About half the lap left to go. A little bit of smoke. There goes the 30. And we're in green, white, checkered mode again.
Ben Pierce, Jeremy Miller, Rafe Slade, James Shainwolf. Good old big one. And once again, back to green, white, checkered territory. It looked like Daniel Day and Edward Shearer had contact.
Let's go back. Let's have a look.
Yeah, here out of 4. I mean, Day has no front end. He'll get back up to the top, and Shearer's way faster. Miller, Shainwolf, a few other drivers involved, but that will happen when you have someone that down on pace in front of drivers. I assume he was one of the ones that stayed out, and he had no front end, so he comes up trying to get the push from Shearer, but the pace difference was so much there that it really wasn't going to make a difference. But that might be, I don't know if that's what John Hall really wants to see, but what that did do is most likely took out most of the drivers that did have fresher tires than everyone else. So that advantage, if there was any, is done. But what we did see there, Sebastian Marin timed it well, and he... he just took out... Oh my gosh.
What was that?
He was taking the Roval again, and he wrecked Eric Wineland. Goodness.
That is just embarrassing.
I mean, come on, just pay attention.
I mean,
it's on par with Michigan Season 4 now. That was ridiculous. Because Balliet's been doing that, but he didn't look when he rejoined, and he just killed Eric Wineland. So they'll have damage to contend with for this restart. I mean, gosh. And Balliet's right front's destroyed. It has not been great tonight. We are at the record for this track. I believe that was our 12th yellow. And we still got a race to decide here. And it's still interesting to see how the rest of these restarts go, because we just saw Jake Matheson completely spin the tires, which tires were worn, but I didn't even expect that personally. But clearly something that the drivers without tires, pretty much everyone at the front, are going to have to contend with here. Had that happen, and we got 3 green, white checkers to contend with. I'm trying to see who might have taken tires and got through that. I'm not sure if any of them were able to. Looks like majority of people who, like I said, majority of people who did take tires actually did not get through that crash, which is the unfortunate part. First one off of pit road was Edward Shearer. He was in the crash. Wygant was in the crash. So was Miller. So was the 50 was not. So I think Case Lacadas will line up 5th, 17th. Shearer will line up 16th. They have the best tires, but the 17's damaged. And the 50 wasn't. Also, we're under 20 minutes left on the timer as well, which is absolutely ridiculous.
I mean, this has already run longer than the Cup Series race, so... Yeah, I don't have time for this.
It is what it is at this point. It's devolved into madness, just like the 2.5 mile track, the Triangle. Next week, where do we even go next week? Next week...
Oh, good one. Monster Mile.
I don't think the trucks have been there yet. I don't think I've ever called a truck race there.
You may not.
Oh boy. I still got Thursday. I have a job on Thursday still. You can't take that from me. You can't do this to me. You can't fire me.
I mean, the Cup Series have had some tough nights, but I haven't seen this in a long time.
It's kind of reverted back to season 4. A lot of it, like we said, was netcode, but the end of this race, last 40 laps have been tough. And like I said, it's like Michigan season 4, which was really the last time this boiled over when we had crashing under yellow for no reason. So, like I said, kind of reverted here as we're working green-white checkered attempt number 1.
Yeah, so the last one didn't count because that was a natural 2 laps to go. So the overtime only, the green-white checkered is only counted if you go over the scheduled distance. So if the 120 laps, if we were going to finish on lap 121, then it would have counted, but we were going to finish on lap 120 scheduled distance. So this will be the first attempt.
Kind of crazy how crazy this race has been, but John Hall, it almost wouldn't look crazy in the box score for him because he started on pole and he's been first. So to him, nothing's happened.
Yeah, John Hall's just been clicking laps off, hasn't he? 74 led. So well over half of this race.
We'll see. Like we said, we'll see how Bappy times this one. He almost stayed alongside Hall last time, and Matheson last time spun the tires, but he's the one who's supposed to be pushing Bappy.
And here we go. 2 to go.
Bappy couldn't stay with him that time. Going to be side by side for second. That could be all John Hall really needs.
Oh, Jurashek muscling his way by Sebastian Marin.
Marin's pinching hard.
Just needs to keep the overlap there to get the side draft down the backstretch. Maybe get a shove from the 52. Wiggling back there. The 95 got a shove, but John Hall leads into turn 3.
Washing up back there. Looks like we're going to make it.
Here we go. White flag, finally. John Hall.
Here's Bappy. He's gone.
And Marin to the bottom.
Jurashek kind of gave him the room to do that. Here he's going to send it into turn number 1, but can he keep alongside through 1 and 2? There might be contact. Yes, there is. Side
by side out of turn 2, looking like last night, crashing behind them. Big mess on the backstretch, but into turn 3. John Hall leads Sebastian Marin by a nose. Last night, the margin of victory was 1/1000th of a second. Here they come out of turn 4 to the stripe. Marin, Hall, and at the stripe, Marin steals it by 4/1000ths of a second.
iRacing's at 1 and 2. Once again, we persevered for this one, but what a finish. Hall missed the entry to the corner through 3 and 4, and Sebastian Marin kind of used them up, but got it done.
And there's your margin of victory tonight. 2/1000ths of a second.
A little easier to see that time.
Yeah, a little bit.
What a job, Marin. Yeah, move at the front stretch the lap before was what won him that race. Beckner, Bappy, they're going to congratulate him. Oops, that Noel's going to slide in. But that was perfect. He just got just enough room where he could cut to the inside of John Hall to make that move work. John Hall is going to be
frustrated.
Very frustrated.
But, I mean, he still gets a decent point stand out of it. Sebastian Marin wins his first race of the season, puts himself in the playoffs with that Hendry County truck, and in a pretty spectacular green-white checkered finish, gets it done. Let's have a look at our race results. And there's the margin of victory, unofficially 2/1000ths of a second. And only one Toyota in the top 10. That was David Weishart in the 33.
Yeah, the Fords had a resurgence this week, at least, with Wineland, Matheson, Hall getting top 10s. Michael Venable couldn't really recover from speeding penalty, but still got 10th. Jake Nichols 8th. And I feel like this top 10 were the drivers that made it through the backstretch crash. Matheson 5th. Garrett Grant recovered the 4th. That's a great run for the 5 after the beat and banging he was doing in the mid part of this race. To get a 4th, I think you'll take that all the way.
Yeah, looking down the rest of the top 20 here. There's where some more of the Toyotas show up. Trey Eitzen finished 11th after getting caught up in a wreck out of his own doing, so decent recovery there. Then Casey Lakatos, Scott Tompkins, Brandon Bowie, Jeremy Miller, your top 15. That was a nice recovery for the 30. Joshua Balliette down in 18th place. Seth Knoll, Pacey Wygant, the rest of your top 20.
Yeah, Miller first one with crash damage tonight, and to get top 15, I think he'll be okay with that. Rafe Slate 24th, Scheer 25th. Scheer was one of those caught up in the last crash that brought out a yellow, and most of these drivers down here, not too many drivers that were near the front, but definitely a lot of drivers who had really no chance to get to the front. Patrick Moose, he was fast. He only gets a 30th place out of it. Ricky Springer 27th. He ran very well as well and couldn't get the finish he deserved. Shane Wolf, Beckner, these are more of the drivers who didn't get the finish they deserved after running up at the front, like a JT Poole and Travis Beckner.
Yeah, see Beckner there. The unlucky night again continues. Brad Slaughter Jr. down in 40th. And then the last three runners, Spencer Burns, Lucas Strayer, Ben McDonald at the tail end of the field. Let's talk with our third place finisher, Connor Urashak, who fought all night long to get back up to third place, and 3 was kind of the number of the night. You were 3 wide more than anybody else this evening. You rallied for a P3 after a night where you didn't have a lot of time to rally. Take us through your evening.
It definitely wasn't an ideal race for our Elite Entertainment truck tonight. I got some damage early, and I was just behind the 8-ball the whole night. But that last restart there at the end, I really do think I had a shot. But in 1 and 2, I got net coated from Seb and lost all my forward momentum and then got stuck on the bottom. So I'm really happy with how the guys at the front raced. I don't know what was going on back there, but overall a good night considering all that happened.
Connor Urashak, third place, the number 12. Connor, thanks for talking.
Yeah, you guys as well. Thank you.
And second place tonight after leading a race-high amount of laps. John Hall finishes in second place. It was 76 laps that she led, but she couldn't lead the last one. 0.02 of a second. That's got to sting. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I can't even comment on the quality of the racing tonight. I mean, it was just, we couldn't run more than 20 laps green at the beginning of the race. So, I mean, that kind of played a lot into it. I felt like this would have been one of the freaking best races of the season if it had went green the whole way. This place is so racy, but yeah, it's things that come up second, but I can't say thanks enough to Seb for racing me clean like he did, and it was a good battle with him. I knew he was going to be tough to beat tonight, so it is what it is, I guess.
John Hall, second place in the 0-3. Nice run tonight, John. Thanks for talking.
Thanks, Kyle. Thank you, guys.
And Sebastian Marin rallies for his first win of the season. Maybe more to come, Sebastian. Your runs have been strong on the 1.5 miles, and 0.02 of a second is what we have on the unofficial timing and scoring. What a night for you. Take us through your evening in that 32.
Yeah, it was a crazy evening. Like you said, started relatively out front. Knew that I had to take care of the tires a little bit there. I was hoping for a long green, decently long stint, which we did the first stint, 20-something odd laps. Drove myself up to the lead with John, then the yellows just started happening, and then it was just going to be waiting until we could make it on fuel, and that's when we were going to pit, because there was no point in pitting and being mid-pack with all the other cars and getting mixed up in the wrecks, because that's what happened last week to me. I gave up all that track position, got involved in all the wrecks. So, just kind of gambling with the yellows. There had a few laps overlap on John, which I think played a pivotal role in getting a run on John on the front stretch. And then just coming out of 4, at that point, I didn't know if he was going to door me. I didn't know if we were going to net code and wreck off a 4. I didn't know if we were going to get tight and locked together, and then Connor was going to get a run on both of us and maybe even steal it. But overall, good night. Can't be happier for the team. So, yeah.
Job well done, Sebastian. Congratulations. Enjoy this one. Not, of course, the amount of green flag racing we were hoping for, but at least we got a photo finish out of it. Thanks for talking.
Yeah, before I go, I want to thank Hendry County Motorsport Park, Central Mobile Home, Sheds and Trailers, Ken Kenny, Elite Entertainment, Low Dollar Racing, and Elite Esports. And thank you, boys, for broadcasting. It's always a pleasure to do these races. Obviously, hasn't, been the greatest of stretch, but I have confidence that with these group of guys, we can turn it around. So,
Seb, thanks for talking. We'll see you next time. Appreciate you talking.
Yes, sir. Have a good night.
You too. All right, Connor, that'll wrap up tonight's action from Charlotte. Sebastian Marin, first-time winner in the series, puts themselves in the playoffs with the Monster Mile up next week.
Yeah, Monster Mile up next. Definitely need to change the pace for this truck series. Like Sebastian Marin just said, these drivers are very capable of running green flag. Most of the drivers that we see Monday, Thursday, they race here on Tuesdays. There's not much changeover, so we got to get this thing on track, and I'm sure they will, like he just said. Dover's going to be a tough place to do it. We haven't really seen the truck series go there in a little while from what I remember, but it's a very fast track. Can get single filed out pretty easily. You need to go around there single file, or else the monster will tame you pretty easily. So we should see some interesting racing, I think, there next week. We still got a date with Charlotte this week as well, but I'm personally excited to go to the Monster Mile.
Yeah, we'll see more racing from Charlotte on Thursday night, the Florida State Builders Pro Series. We'll see you then.